welcome in. It's Utes Game Day on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. I am your host, Porter Larsen. Alongside me today is one Trevor Reilly, with some other great guests still to come later. We are brought to you today by Outlaw Distillery, and we come to you live from Bout Time Pub and Grub. This one out in Vineyard, 568 North Mill Road. Come out, say hello, and talk some football with Trevor and I. Today, it's the 103rd installment of the Holy War. Number 23, Utah, is on the road for a matchup with number 15, BYU, in a Big 12 showdown fit for one of the best rivalries in all of college football. The Cougars are unbeaten with wins in 2025 over Portland State, Stanford, ECU, Colorado, West Virginia, and then last week in double OT at Arizona. BYU now 6-0 as they welcome Kyle Whittingham back to the house that LaVell built. For Utah, the 5-1 season so far started off strong in Hollywood.
And the Rose Bowl, where tonight Utah will open up the 2025 college football season against an old friend for the Pac-12, the UCLA Bruins. Dampier moves a man across the formation. That's Smith Snowden. Smith's got it, bouncing to the outside. Now back to the inside, to the 5, to the 4, to the 3, to the 2, to the 1. That's a touchdown! Smith Snowden made 3-man miss at the 5, cut it back inside, and found Hayter in the UCLA end zone. It's a Utah touchdown.
After the impressive Week 1 performance, the Utes returned home to Salt Lake City for a matchup with Cal Poly, an old home to Mad Dog Fred Whittingham. It was the first ever matchup between Utah and CPU.
3 receivers flex to the right, 1 to the left-hand side. Dampier's going to pass in the flat. He's got Parker. A lot of room to run. 40, 30, 20. They're not going to get him into the end zone. He goes for a touchdown. 3 receivers wide to the right-hand side, 1 to the left-hand side on 2nd down and 9 with the Cal Poly 45. Diefenbach fires wide to the outside. It's picked. It's going to go to the house. Jackson Benny. The streak is alive! 22 straight years with a pick 6 for Utah! Benny with a house call! 5 for 9 on 3rd down, 2 for 2 on this drive, 3rd down and 2. Micklin by himself, going to keep it himself, right side 35, steps out of a tackle 30, 25, breaks another tackle, 10, 5, touchdown! Bird Micklin, high stepping into the north end zone. What formation are they going to come out in, Scott?
Oh, the best formation in all football, the victory formation.
Utah comes home and opens up the home portion of its season by a final score of 63-9 over the Cal Poly Mustangs, and it's a great night to be a Ute.
And in Week 3, it was on to Laramie as Utah took to the Frontier, a matchup with former conference foe for Kyle and Co.
Utah fans, good evening, and welcome to Laramie, Wyoming. War Memorial Stadium on the campus of the University of Wyoming for the first time in 15 years. Anderson scans the defense, brings a wide receiver in motion. Now he'll backpedal the pass. Utah pressure getting to him. Anderson spins out of it, and he's taken down. John Henry Daly all the way back at the 36-yard line. Play action pass, pressure coming. He's hit, the ball's out. Does Utah have it? They do.
There's a fumble.
Lander Barton recovers it. Pressure off the edge, forced the fumble, and Barton falls on it for Utah. It was John Henry Daly who made the hit in the strip, and Utah gets it back. 3rd down for Utah. They've got to get to the 25. Dampier, lots of time in the pocket. Looking, throwing down the field. Got a man open, caught! Close to first down yardage. Did he get it? Dallin Bentley got it. He needed 21 and he got 22 yards. It's a Utah first down. Dampier brings a man in motion. Looks, loses the football, picks it up again. Scrambles to his right, throwing toward the end zone. Caught! Is it in? It is! Touchdown! Wow. Touchdown! Larry Simmons with his first catch as a Ute. and it's a touchdown with a toe tap on the sideline. Andrews again the Wildcat with 1:23 to play. 5 yards on that last carry. He's going to follow his blockers again. Hunter to the outside. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And a touchdown. And an exclamation point tonight here in Laramie. Hunter Andrews in from 11 yards out.
Then a top 20 matchup to kick off Big 12 conference play. The 17th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders visited number 16 Utah. Tech's first ever trip to Salt Lake City.
It is the Big 12 opener between the 16th ranked University of Utah Utes and the 17th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders. We have a perfect Saturday for football here in Salt Lake City, and we have a big one. Maybe it decides who the top dog early on is in the Big 12 Conference. On 3rd down and 10, Leighton Stone called for the procedure penalty, and it gets loud again. Utah going to rush just 4, play coverage behind. An empty backfield now for Baron Morton. He backpedals to pass. Steps, throws, fires over the middle. That's going to be first down yardage 30. 35, Williams still on his feet, 40, look out 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, Jacoby Williams to the Utah 20, 15 and down, still on his feet, 10 and down at the 12-yard line. An absolute coverage break by Utah and a gigantic play. Teo Johnson finally made the tackle for Utah. 73 yards on the play. First down and goal, Texas Tech. Dickey stays in the ball game. Morton, who rarely goes under center, operates out of the shotgun. Handoff, Dickey, end zone touchdown. That was easy for Texas Tech. They move 85 yards after a 73-yard 3rd down and 10 play, and the Red Raiders strike early here in Salt Lake. The big defensive tackle, Semi Taulonga, in as the up-back, fullback, and blocking back on this play. It's 4th down and almost a full yard from the Utah 46-yard line. Quickly to the line of scrimmage comes Utah. Rodgers in the backfield. They hand to Rodgers. He spins. Second effort. I think they're going to measure this. He didn't get it. He's short. Texas Tech held. Throw to the outside. Ryan Davis catches 50 and down. Fumble! Tech's going to get it. Was his knee down before the ball came out? They bring a man in motion now. He's going to pass again. Pressure coming up the middle. Ball down the field is juggled in. Punt picked off. Intercepted. It's intercepted. Teo Johnson with the interception off the deflection. And Utah's got it back. Heads up play off the fingers of Reggie Virgil and into the waiting arms of Teo Johnson. 2nd down and 7 for the 48 of Utah. Dampier hands it to Parker, across the 50 and down to the 47. The ball out again? Is the ball out again? Texas Tech says they've got it. They do.
Pulling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense, first down.
Pressure off the edge, throwing toward the end zone. Aiken up! Intercepted! Jackson Benny took it away from Coy Aiken. A big pick, the 3rd of the year for Jackson Benny. What a play! Handoff, Parker, straight ahead, end zone touchdown! Sean Parker in from 5 yards out, and we've got a ball game with 10:22 to play. Pump once, they're going to take a shot down the field. He's got a man wide open, caught, end zone touchdown. Terrence Carter all by himself up the seam and into the end zone for a touchdown, and now it's trouble time for Utah with 8:29 to play. Handoff, Dickey stacked up after a short gain. Now he breaks through 15 to the outside, 10, 5, touchdown, and that'll be the ball game.
Wow.
They had him stacked at the line, and he wouldn't stop running. That was a Scattaboo-like run right there, and Cameron Dickey just called ball game here for Texas Tech. Texas Tech, we said it was a statement game today for one of these teams. Red Raiders sent the statement today. They win it 34-10.
Then on to West Virginia. Utah's first ever trip to Morgantown for a matchup with the Mountaineers came in Week 5. And it came with a big response from Devin Dampier after the loss in the Big 12 opener.
Utah fans, good afternoon and welcome to Morgantown, West Virginia and Milan Puskar Stadium for the first time all time. Utah and West Virginia square off in the regular season. They motion Wayshawn Parker out. Devin Dampier is going to throw. Looking to his right, throwing to his right. End zone up, caught. Touchdown! Touchdown! Dallin Bentley went up, climbed the ladder, and came down with it for a Utah touchdown. Dampier brings Bentley in motion. He's going to run to that right-hand side. Devin's got the 5, cuts it inside to the goal line. Into the end zone he goes. That's a touchdown. A big boy run by quarterback Devin Dampier. 7 yards into the Mountaineer end zone. Dampier with plenty of time to throw. Looking down the field, has a man open. End zone caught. Touchdown! Ryan Davis! 31 yards from Dampier. Second down and goal. TA in motion. Dampier rolls to his right-hand side, throws to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Dallin Bentley all by himself in the back of the end zone. Third touchdown pass today for Devin Dampier. And Utah punches it in just before halftime. Under center goes Bert Bicklin. They'll bring a man in motion. He's going to roll to his left and throw toward the end zone. Caught, touchdown. That's Bryce Duke. Utah improves to 4-1 with a 48-14 win over the Mountaineers, and it's a great day to be a Ute here in northern West Virginia. Utah fans, good evening and welcome to a wet Rice-Eccles Stadium. We have had Mother Nature in full effect for the last hour and a half, but we're ready to play some football here on a Saturday night, and it's a big one between the University of Utah and the Arizona State Sun Devils. They move the strength to the left-hand side. Devin's in the shotgun. Takes the snap, keeps it himself. Devin to the 5, to the 4, to the 3, 2, 1. Touchdown! Untouched into the north end zone. Goes Devin Dampier, and the Utes strike first on a rainy Saturday night in Salt Lake City. This one's a 39-yard field goal from the left hash for the lefty, Jesus Gomez. 11 of 14 on the season. Got a big leg. High snap, the kick is down. It's end over end, and it is good. So Gomez gets the Devils on the board. Not 7, but 3, with 2:34 to play here in the first quarter. Rain continues to fall. Sims turns, gives. Brown eaten up in the backfield. John Henry Daly swallowed him up back at the 12-yard line. Wayshawn Parker, the tailback. 2 tight ends on the right-hand side for Utah. From the ASU 23, they hand it. No, Devin keeps it himself. He's running 20. He's running 15. 10-5. Touchdown! Touchdown! Devin Dampier! 23 yards untouched. And Utah's put another in the end zone on the Devils. 29-yard field goal here. Attempt for Gomez. Bad snap, bad hold, kick is blocked. And Utah recovers it at their own 34-yard line. That one never had a chance.
No.
It never had a chance. Out of the shotgun. Handoff, Rogers bouncing around to the outside. Dakari to the 10, to the 5, end zone, touchdown! Dakari Rogers weaving in and out of the Sun Devil defense, puts it in the south end zone for 6. Empty backfield here on second down at 11 for Dampier. He's going to backpedal to pass. Looking out to his right, now scrambling to his left. Lots of time, taking a shot. He's got a man wide open down the field, caught. That's Ryan Davis, 15 and down at the 12-yard line. Ryan Davis was wide open. And all the way to the ASU 12-yard line he goes. 56 yards, Dampier to Davis.
Man, that's a pitchfork in your heart right there.
ASU with 10 in the box. Option play outside, Dampier pitches, Rogers, end zone, touchdown. Excellent work, the magician and ball handler that was Devin Dampier got that ball to Rogers, and it's a Utah touchdown. Here we go, first down and goal, ASU. At the Utah 4. Sims under center. Hands it off to Tyson. To the outside goes Jordan Tyson, and he goes into the end zone for a touchdown. Snowden couldn't come up with a tackle, and the end around goes for a touchdown, and that's the 8th of the year for Jordan Tyson. Dallin Bentley in the backfield. Wayshawn Parker in the backfield as well. Devin Dampier keeps it. 25-20, 15, down to the 11-yard line. And guess what, Scott? We've got the first 100-yard Utah rushing quarterback since all the way back in 2015 when Travis Wilson went over 100 against the Oregon Ducks up in Eugene. Rayan Davis to the left-hand side, J.J. Buchanan to the right. Second down and 8 for Utah. Parker in the shotgun right now with Devin Dampier. Devin keeps it. Devin dancing, cutting to the inside. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's in. He's in. It's a hat trick for Dampier. His third rushing touchdown tonight.
Wow, that's just an incredible play.
4 receivers in the pattern on third down and 31. Sims to pass again, just a 4-man rush. Off the edge, here they come. Sims to the outside, and down he goes! John Henry Daly tripped him up and took him down. 3 straight sacks for the Utah defense. Brings up 4th down and an eternity. And here comes the punt team. He's going to keep it himself. Bird Ficklin walks into the end zone, and that's a touchdown. Ficklin with his 3rd rushing touchdown this year. And that one was easy. It's 41-10 pending the PAT. One more snap here for Bird Ficklin. He takes a step back, takes a knee, and that'll do it. Well, we began the night with a driving rainstorm, lightning, and, well, Mother Nature flexing her muscles, and then it was the Utah Utes flexing their muscles tonight with a 42-10 win right here at Rice-Eccles Stadium to move to 5-1 on the year and 2-1 in the Big 12. And it's always a great night to be a Ute, but some nights are greater than others, and this is one of those nights. Good, resounding win over the 21st ranked team in college football.
320-plus total yards from Devin Dampier, nearly 300 yards on the ground for the University of Utah, and they get to 5-1 with a 42-10 win over the Arizona State Sun Devils, then the number 21 team in the country. Now on to Provo, where the number 23 Utes match up with number 15 BYU in the 103rd installment of the Holy War. Rivalry week, of course, always fun. The energy is palpable in Utah County, even out in Vineyard. Trevor Reilly and I live at Bowtime Pub. What's up, Trev?
This is a great venue. Just kind of sneaks up in it. The movie theater's right here. There's some great restaurants around here. And
right by Topgolf?
Guys, it's wonderful. I haven't really been out here. My brother lives over here, but I haven't been out here a whole lot, and it's nice.
So if you're on the way to the game, stop by, say hello, grab a bite, get to the game. Maybe you don't have a place to watch the game. Stop by, watch the game. If, the game doesn't go your way, wallow for a minute, get a drink, make it a double, go home. Don't drive, get an Uber.
Yeah, there you go.
But listen, it's a good spot. It's a great location out here by the lake in Vineyard. And, of course, we are on this side of the point of the mountain because it is a rivalry game day. Trevor obviously has had his experience in this game, a Ute legend stopping by the show. Zach Moss will stop by the show. Sean O'Connell is going to give us a live check-in from Provo, where I'm sure it is popping already at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Our guy Darrell Mack is going to stop by for a segment as well. We got a whole bunch coming your way on the Utes Game Day pregame show. Robert Johnson, Rojo, will stop by as well. So, like I said, if you guys don't have a place to watch the game or you want to stop by and need a stop, grab some food on the way to the game, it's 568 North Mill Road in Vineyard, just off the freeway. A great location by the Megaplex, by Top Golf. Super fun spot out here at Bowtime.
I think I'm going to get the chubby melt, dude.
You look at the menu.
Okay,
scour the menu, Trev.
We're
going to get you some lunch and get you fed before this rivalry game. I know you're hungry. I know you probably would like to be out there.
Dude, this is the creme de la creme for this state. This is the game, all right. This is the crown jewel.
We talked to Sly on the station during the week, and you could sense through the phone that he was like on the edge of his seat, and it was Thursday. He was on his toes. He's telling a story about fighting some kid on a scooter in the street, right?
Take that BYU hat off, dude.
Exactly.
You're not a real fan. I mean, we're getting into it with people, and that's the fun part here, right? We had I was on another show this week. Over under 3 personal fouls. What do you think? Over under for the game. Over 3 personal fouls.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Each
man.
team gets 3, and we'll see where we go
dude.
from there. These are well-coached teams, Trevor, but you know, number one, the volatility and the passion behind this rivalry, but the stakes are higher today than they've maybe been in a decade in this rivalry.
I think 8 years since the last time they had a rival. Both teams were ranked in the top 25. Correct?
2009, actually. It's been 15 years.
Oh, my gosh.
So since they've been ranked at the same time, it's been a long, long time. Like I said, we're going to get our guy Darrell Mack on the show a little bit later. We're going to get Rojo on the show, Sean O'Connell, Zach Moss. So a loaded lineup for you on this Saturday Holy War edition of Utes Game Day. Trevor Reilly, Porter Larsen, like I mentioned, Darrell Mack standing by, James Peterson back behind the glass in Salt Lake City, and then about 4 o'clock rather, we're going to send it over to Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, and Stevenson Sylvester for the call of the game from LaVell Edwards Stadium. We're in enemy territory, kind of. About Time Pub, 568 North Mill Road here in Vineyard. On the other side, we're going to dive deep into the matchup between two ranked teams, Utah and BYU, and then we'll get to the rest of Utes Game Day on this Saturday. Porter Larsen, James Peterson back in the studio. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is head coach Kyle Whittingham, and you're listening to Utah football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
It's head coach Kyle Whittingham bringing us back in on a Utes Game Day. Safe to say Kyle Whittingham has had his part in the rivalry history. He was telling us on the Coaches Show. Of course, you can listen to the Kyle Whittingham Coaches Show each and every Tuesday on ESPN 700. About 6 o'clock, and then on our website and podcast pages as well. He was talking about the Whittinghams in this rivalry. They've been involved in 52 of them. Directly, too. Not just as fans, not just cheering. 52 of these games Kyle Whittingham's family has been directly involved in. Of course, he himself has been in more than half of those, I'm sure, and that's more than half of the total history of the rivalry. 103 matchups so far, and of course Utah owns the all-time record. BYU owned the rivalry for like 30 years in the 80s and 70s, and then of course Ron McBride, Urban Meyer, Kyle Whittingham have kind of reversed that
And we've had a little turn of the tide the last couple of years, last couple of matchups. Trevor Reilly alongside me. We got Darrell Mack in the house here at Bout Time Pub. All right, we'll start here. Trevor, your history in this rivalry. We're going to expand to BYU and Utah. We've got two ranked teams, two of the best defenses in the country. I truly believe that. So we're going to get into the schemes. We're going to get into Scally and A-Rod and all of the connections there and what that will look like on the field. But let's dial it back a little bit. Let's turn back the clock a little bit. I mentioned kind of the big picture history of the rivalry. What is your history in the rivalry, and what did you know about it before you officially became a University of Utah Ute?
Being from Southern California, Darrell and I are both from San Diego, okay? And we've been mostly carrying this program for the last 15 years, our city. Okay, we'll get into that too, okay?
There we go.
Devin Lloyd, okay, one of our guys, among other people. But the point is that we knew what was going on, all right, because, Darrell has history with BYU. I have history with BYU. I'm an LDS guy. But being in SoCal was about SC. So, whatever, we'd be on ESPN, we'd watch. I remember the first rivalry game I really watched was when Urban's first year was there. They won like 10-0 or something in the snow in 2003 or something. And that was a big deal. It was like, oh, my gosh, Utah beat BYU.
3-0.
3-0, there you go.
Yeah.
But as a player, after that, whatever, and as a player, though, I've said this before, BYU didn't want me. I didn't have a great camp when I went there in the summer, and I had a bad back or something. And, whatever, just a white guy from San Diego, yeah, whatever. I get off my mission. Bronco, yeah. And they had guys, dude. They had Van Noy at one there. They had some guys there. So I got pissed off, and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to Utah then. All right, fine. The church doesn't want me. I'm going to Utah.
Was that actually part of your
that was what happened.
process, though? Like,
my uncle begged me to take this meeting. My Uncle Keith was like, yo, take this meeting with Robert and I. I was like, I don't even want to go here, man. He's like, I'll take it. You got me excited. I'll go. I'll go to the meeting. I go there. He's like, hey, if you get into school, you can come do a walk-on. I was like, what? Dog, I got Norm Chow calling me. I got Mike Leach calling me. Walk-on at BYU. Okay, whatever. I said, you know what, dude? I'm going. I'll see you on the field, dude. I'm going to Utah. I told him. Then I called Coach Witt, and I was like, yo, I'm coming to Utah, man.
So what you're telling me is that not only, of course, as we know, Utah and Kyle and the program, recent Fiesta Bowl, right? You knew Utah. You knew the program. They had been on the radar a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But the rivalry actually played like a legitimate part in your commitment.
I'm telling you, my brother was already there. My brother was playing football and basketball at Utah, and I was like, I don't want to go there, man. I was like, And so when Bronco said, hey, dude, or when Anai said, if you get into school, you can go to the general school tryout. I said, dog, that's all I needed to hear. I was like, you know what, man, let me just go 4-0 against y'all real quick.
Darrell Mack in the house as well here at About Time and Vineyard, 568 North Mill Road. Come say hello to some Utes legends and say what's up to us. Darrell, how are you? Good to see you. Your mic's not on. There you are.
Hello. How's it going? I'm doing good, man. Hanging out.
Your pick last week was spot on. So
yes.
We do have to give you props for that.
Appreciate it.
And let's get Trevor mentioned you're a San Diego guy as well. So
yes.
What was your perspective of maybe both of these programs or football in this state in general before you came here, before you were a Ute? And the rivalry as well before we get into today.
Well, for me, it's pretty big. My relative is Larry Moore, one of the best old linemen in BYU history in '98. Born and raised. That's my unc. And growing up, unfortunately, I was a BYU fan. You know what I'm saying? And I love those guys growing up. LaVell Edwards would be in my house. With some of these other players, Sarkisian, my uncle was the center up here at BYU, running things back in the day.
You got Steve Sarkisian in the house with D-Mac, dude.
So now I was 12 and 11, so this history runs deep, man. And one side of my house is blue, one side of my house is red, and so the history runs deep. And, I could have played for BYU, I could have, but I chose to play for Herman Meyer and Coach Witt. You understand me? So it was a lot more going on. Alex Smith coming from my neighborhood growing up. So those were huge influences for me.
There's almost no one that you can ask that has a connection here, maybe familiar, family-wise, right, that doesn't have a tie to both of these programs. If you're you're involved in football, a coach, a player, you were recruited at some point, you have a tie into both of these programs. And it explains how this rivalry is so interesting and so different. I think it's so unique to a lot of different rivalries across the state. I mean, my cousin right now plays for Utah. My best friend's little brother growing up is the starting center for BYU, right?
Yes.
Like, and I'm not even like that involved in any of the programs, but I know deeply so many of these guys that are in these locker rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, my
And
brother,
it's
I played
impossible.
against my brother. He was at BYU,
It's
dude.
impossible
I played against him.
to untie these two programs, and it's what makes this rivalry so interesting, so intriguing.
Exactly. It's only like 45 minutes distance driving, so it's not too far.
I mean, I live down south, and you get a taste of what football's about down there. And down there, it's similar. It's life or death. And I tell people, I said, this is normal for me. Our rivalry here is, to me, as strong as any rivalry in the country.
You hear about West Coast football as a little bit like more laid back. It's offensive. It's quarterbacks. It's skill guys. And there's part of that that's true, right? There's a bunch of Heisman guys in USC and the high-flying offenses and whatnot. But there's also like a football culture identity here that is more akin to like SEC country, Big Ten country. I'm talking about the fans. I'm talking about the hatred and the rivalry.
Oh.
The fact that it feels like it's more than just football, right? There is something about your life, your identity, tied to winning a football game, and that's something you don't get with every matchup. And it makes today really fun.
I would say that if you win against Utah or BYU, your odds of keeping your job go up tremendously.
100%.
As a coach, I'm talking about. I can imagine just losing. I mean, doesn't it feel good to say? I can just imagine losing to BYU, how that would feel. It doesn't feel well to go through something like that. I've never lost to these guys. And when I say that, meaning to even lose, to the thought of losing to BYU, really?
I've had some L's to these guys, last-second losses.
How sick is that, dude?
Oh, man, it hurts.
Still bothers
throw up
you.
in my mouth. And, oh, my goodness.
They did it to me twice in 4 years, those
Right.
last-second touchdowns.
Oh,
remember that?
That span of 5 years was just all crazy finishes, close games.
I was amazed when I seen you guys do what you guys did.
You were on the
we
wrong
we had
end
a
of it.
tough loss. I was redshirting in 09. Okay,
Yeah.
Max Hall to Big George, the tight end.
Yep.
Okay, in overtime, I think. And you can ask Robert about that one, actually. It was a great throw. Robert and Sly, I think, were bracketing.
Yep.
Anyways, after that, Coach Witt said a direct quote, "We will never lose to these guys again." Okay, he said that, dude.
And he didn't for a
He
decade.
said that, dude.
11
We went 10 straight, dude.
Words.
It took 11
I mean what I
years
say.
for BYU to reverse that, and Kyle at least came through on his word for that time.
Mhm.
There's always cycles in college football, and right now I feel like they're on pretty even playing field in a lot of
Yes.
ways, and that makes this game
Well, let me
a
make
lot of
one
fun.
comment. There's a report that came out the other day. Did you know that Utah's tied for the last, or maybe second to last, in Power 4 NIL funding? We're tied. I bring this up for a reason why. This is what's happening. You mentioned we're about in the same level. BYU, go look at that where they're
Right.
at on that schedule.
Well, that's definitely – listen, so –
And I say it's trending the other way in some ways.
the decade-
I'm starting to get – because that's why this game is a good litmus test right here.
You're
Where are
not
we at
wrong.
with these guys who are spending some money?
and you're not wrong.
We're winning in spite of not having any money, dude.
But this is now catching up with Utah, who had an advantage with the Pac-12, with the conference affiliation. There was a gap there for a decade. Now BYU's making
That's
that
right,
up.
dude.
They can surpass that. That's part of
I
this whole conversation.
just saw Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia beat LSU today. Okay, in
And
another
they were-
universe.
and they were favorites.
Come
Trevor
on,
Reilly.
dude.
They were favorites
Vanderbilt,
that
this
game.
favorites,
this
right?
money's really talking, and we're going to see today how this money
Hey,
talks.
Texas Tech is making that money talk too.
And
I'm
that's,
telling you.
that's part of this conversation. Kyle mentioned it in his press conference, right?
The
Texas
biggest
Tech
budget.
has the biggest budget. They are now all of a sudden the number one team in the conference. That's not necessarily all by coincidence. We're going to get to all
How
that.
about the Dodgers, huh? How about your boy last night with 3 dingers and 6
Hey,
scoreless?
when you don't
Best
have any
player
sort
in
of salary
baseball
cap,
history.
Come
when you
on,
don't
man.
have any sort of salary cap, those
They're spending
kind
money,
of things,
dude.
those kind of things tend to happen. All right, we're gonna
10Ks.
take a break and get to the other side. Sean O'Connell, of course, OC from ESPN 700. Of course, the Sean O'Connell Show each and every weekday from 11 to 2. OC's going to stop by the program. He's going to be live in Provo and give us the energy, the feel from LaVell Edwards Stadium, and we'll go from there. It is Utes Game Day. I'm Porter Larsen. Trevor Reilly. Darrell Mack is here with us at About Time. And later on in the show, Zach Moss, Robert Rojo Johnson. we'll go from there. As I mentioned, Sean O'Connell's next. We're going to get dishing with Dev, a whole bunch on this 3-hour Utes game day leading up to Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, and Stevenson Sylvester at 4 o'clock. It is BYU in Utah for the 103rd time. This one at LaVell Edwards Stadium. Kickoff about 6 p.m. right here on Utah's #1 sports talk in your home of Utah football for over 70 years. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is Utah quarterback Devin Dampier, and you're listening to Utah football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
Welcome back, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. It is Utes game day. It's a big one. Number 23 Utah is headed south for a matchup with top 15 BYU. Kalani Sitake, Aaron Rodgers, and co. Of course, a bunch of other Utah connections, Jay Hill and others on that staff for the University of Utah and BYU. It's impossible, as we just talked about, to untie these two teams involved in this rivalry. And Trevor, Darrell, and the folks that we'll have on the show, Zach Moss as well, Rojo, they'll all give their insight on that, as will our next guest, Sean O'Connell. Appropriately, OC, we're at Bout Time Pub, one of your favorite spots.
It's the right place to be. It's the right mindset to get yourself in before a Holy War rivalry game. You guys,
that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, we're ready to throw hands at Bout Time Pub. Of course, Sean O'Connell, a former, let's say, champion of the world.
Hell yeah,
in
he was,
the MMA.
This guy's made
world.
serious money fighting, man. This is a legend. How you doing, Sean?
Doing great. Good to hear your voice, man. I'm so excited for today. I assume I'm going to see you guys down at LaVell Edwards Stadium a little bit later, but amped up already.
OC, I'm going to start with this the same way I started with these guys. You're a Utah kid, so it's going to be a little different perspective than Trevor and Darrell, these San Diego guys. You grew up in the shadows of these programs. In fact, you grew up right between these two programs. Give us your perspective of this rivalry before you became a Ute, growing up in Utah, maybe being recruited by one of or both of these programs, and how that has shaped your thoughts on this rivalry and how you've consumed this rivalry before you ever stepped foot on the field.
Well, yeah, I have kind of like this weird tweener perspective because literally physically I was between the two in Sandy, but also, we were transplants to Utah And Irish Catholic family, we were Notre Dame people. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you come to Utah, and you start to familiarize yourself with the sporting landscape. And, of course, everyone in Utah loves the Utah Jazz. And I learned in third grade real quick, well, are you a Utah family or are you a BYU family? Are Utah guys or BYU guys?
You have to take a side.
The Levin family, shout out to the Levins. Hopefully somebody's listening. Across the street, Bob Levin and his 6 kids were BYU people, and down at the end of the road, like 5 houses away, his brother lived there and hung a Utah flag out front. So we learned that even families were divided. And I'm not going to lie, my first real experience in a BYU-Utah football game, like going to the Holy War, one of my friends, I wish I could say it was me, one of my best friends, early in our careers, our high school football careers, he had the recruit tickets to the Holy War, right? Which back in the day, they would put you right behind the visitor's bench, like front row tickets to a Holy War game.
Right.
So we're 14, 15, we're 15 years old, and that's my first time going to that game. I'd obviously watched it through middle school and all that. First time going to that game, and that was Luke Staley and that, navy blue and khaki BYU uniform. And you were just like, oh, my gosh, that stadium's so loud. You're right down there at field level, absorbing all of it. And that's when I really understood, watching the players between plays, right? John back and forth, the little extracurriculars at the bottom of the pile. And I was like, man, you really don't appreciate the hate in this rivalry, the intensity in this rivalry, until you see it played up close and personal like that. And obviously, we're much more familiar with it now, but it is as intense as any rivalry in the country. And because sometimes you are representing not only your school, but some sort of cultural element, it gets, I think, 10 times more heated, not only in the fan base. We always talk about, it's the fans that are so crazy. Players has pretty good sportsmanship, but there's a lot of desire to prove. And I learned that from the time I moved to Utah in third grade up until, obviously, I graduated from the U myself.
I was going to say, as a MMA guy, can you expand a little bit on, as you said, the extracurriculars? Because this is a rivalry that we've seen a cheerleader beat up a fan. We've seen a linebacker jump into the stands and beat up a fan. We've seen some guy in suspenders try to accost the head coach of a program. We've seen this rivalry get very, as you mentioned, extracurricular. Just dive into a little bit how this rivalry specifically, it's not like it's the only one, but the lines seem to get blurred sometimes. We've seen some ridiculous stories in the news over the last week or so as well. Like how do the lines seem to get blurred so much with this rivalry off of the football field?
Well, it's because it represents more than just the football game itself, and it represents more than just the universities, right? There's a culture war that goes on between what people think red means and what they think blue means in this rivalry. And there's this, from the Ute perspective, it's that sanctimonious team down south and that fan base that thinks they're better than us. And then there's, whatever the BYU side of that is. And when you talk about the extracurriculars and you talk about those things that you just mentioned, the public service announcement from a guy like me who spent a lot of time, preparing himself to actually be able to compete in those moments, you actually don't know how to fight, any of you out there, all right? When you're the fan talking trash to the parent of the linebacker on the field because you think that you're safe, you don't know how to fight, so don't say anything. If you're the fan jumping down to try to get into it with a cheerleader, you don't know how to fight, dude. You just got beat up by a cheerleader. So everybody, please remember that. Get as intense as you want, say the crazy things you want to say, but you do not know how to fight. Even if you're big and strong and you think you're in shape, you don't know how to fight. This is not about fighting. This is about football.
Keep in mind that cheerleader's on scholarship now, too. This is the age of NIL.
Dude, they're gunned up, dude. Those cheerleaders are gunned up, man. They're in there. They're in there getting it in.
Someone told me this week, I didn't know this. I don't know how I didn't know this, that particular cheerleader from the video was like, he was like a region champion wrestler from Mountain View High School or something.
Of course.
And so he was like the exact wrong guy to confront in that situation. Just always remember, right? Even I have to remember this. Always remember there's a bigger fish somewhere in that pond, and you do not want to meet him.
Amen, dude. So shifting to the game just a touch, right? You've been following these two teams all season. Give me a guy on BYU's offense who we really got to look out for. Who do you see as the key in this game?
Look, Parker Kingston has crazy speed, and we've seen, even in games where you're like, this team can't match up with you. There was a Cal Poly guy who got behind the defense. There's a Wyoming guy who got behind the defense because of a missed assignment, and for the most part, you were like, okay, well, we ran him down. You can't let that happen with Kingston because you can't run him down. If he gets behind you, he's going to the house. So you got to keep it in front of you like you did last week against Jordan Tyson. You got to give this BYU wide receiving core as a whole their respect. They can hurt you if you don't play assignment sound, keep your eyes disciplined, and make sure that you know exactly where they are. Don't get lost trying to make some super special play. You want to be the game breaker here, so you're looking into the backfield to time the route, or you want to jump on something that's a little bit further upfield. You stay in the pocket of that guy, contact hip to hip, elbow to hip, elbow to hand, whatever. You got to know where those guys are at, because if they get past you, you're not running them down like you did against a Wyoming Cowboy. I'm worried about that, but it only happened maybe once or twice, and of course this offense will make up for it.
And then what about defense? You look at their defense, they got 16. I know he's been a heck of a player for the last couple of years. Is he the guy over there that's really making it happen, or is it that Mike linebacker? Who do you like over there?
Well, it's 16 and 17, and I think Jack Kelly, we can put the health questions to bed. He didn't even appear on the injury report this week. He almost played last week. I think he's the guy that is going to be the more impactful because he's more versatile. He's an excellent pass rusher. He's the guy that Jay Hill might try to use as the spy on Devin Dampier, although I wouldn't be surprised if he mixed it up and put Glasser in that role as well. But, yeah, you got to get a body on him. And if this offensive line for the University of Utah is as good as we think they are, is one of the best offensive line units in the country, I mean, Jack Kelly's a great player. Isaiah Glasser is a great player. Siale Acera, the other linebacker, he's incredibly solid. We know what Keanu Tanabas is capable of. But if you're a first-round draft pick at a tackle spot, if you're a fifth-year starter playing center, you better move those guys out of the way, and you better sustain your blocks through the whistle.
OC, it feels like this game, we talk a lot about Devin Dampier. Of course, Bear Bachmeier's been a huge part of the conversation with BYU. But it feels like this game, just from an identity standpoint, is going to be dictated a lot on the ground, in the trenches, at the line of scrimmage. That's not new thinking when it comes to Utah BYU. That's not breaking news to anyone who has watched this game and this rivalry throughout the years. But it also feels like, OC, the team that can win, the team that pulls ahead, might just be the one that can establish just a sprinkle of verticality into the offense, right? It doesn't have to be consistent, but it always seems like there's one moment in this rivalry where you have to make a play downfield, you have to find a chunk play, a 4th and 18 comes to mind. And if this game is tight throughout, as I think it should be and will be, there's going to be a pressure on Devin Dampier and a pressure on the true freshman Bear Bachmeier to get something downfield. Who's more equipped to do that as of today?
Well, I think Bear Bachmeier has the better weapons to get downfield with, right? But he's the freshman who hasn't seen every blitz package. He hasn't seen every pressure. He hasn't seen every coverage yet, only 6 games into his career. Devin Dampier, he doesn't have that excuse. He, at this point, as a starter, has seen it all and should be able to mentally process those things better. He might not have the same level of talent to throw the ball to, but he's the guy that should be able to diagnose better and find the holes and find the seams. And I think for both teams, it's going to be middle-of-the-field type stuff, right? Raider Demooney is out for BYU. Obviously, we know the Utah safety situation. And so I think we're talking tight ends up the seams. We're talking, those post routes in the middle of the field. And the corners are going to have to communicate exceptionally well with the safeties, make sure that everyone knows their assignments, because there's going to be guys running across trying to confuse things. I think the middle of the field is the scariest spot for both of these defenses, because that's where the opposing offense and these quarterbacks want something right there in that sight picture. Neither of them are particularly tall, so you're trying to get the ball out quick. The middle of the field scares me for both of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, especially if you talked about a spy on our quarterback. Bachmeier's another guy. He'll dice you up, especially in the short run game. I could see, a game of either, I think cover 0 where we pressure a lot of 6 or 7, or we drop 8. I don't like matching up against this offensive line and this quarterback and playing coverage. I'm concerned about that. And to your point, that speed down the field, as you look at the game and you start thinking about key players for Utah, anybody come to mind on offense? Who are you looking at and say, I think this guy's going to have a good game against this BYU defense?
I think that the fact that you have a nice little 1-2 punch at your running back position, whether it's Wayshawn or Nakari Rogers, it just doesn't feel like BYU's been able to give both of those guys the proper amount of respect, the proper amount of scouting, the proper amount of, all right, I know what that guy's capable of, and I'm going to take him seriously. You got 2 starting caliber running backs. BYU is a little bit thinner at the running back spot right now. They're down into, a guy that they didn't think they were going to have to play. But, of course, they've got L.J. Martin, who's about 100 yards a game. For Utah, I think you can account a little bit better for L.J. Martin. He's not the most elusive back. He's great with contact balance. He's great at running after contact. So you got to tackle incredibly well. But I feel like for Utah's offense, Wayshawn and Nakari are so interchangeable that, if you get both of them on the field, that BYU defense is going to get confused by which one is going to, come upfield and hit you in the mouth, which one of these guys is dangerous around the edge. So I'm feeling, my instinct tells me it's actually Rogers who has the bigger day. They're going to be accounting for Ryan Davis out on the outside. They're going to try to take Dallin Bentley away. They're going to tell you that Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker, these guys are not going to beat us. And I think that at some point, Jason Beck goes, all right, those guys that beat you? Well, guess what? Rogers can. I think he has a big day today.
OC, whereabouts are you? You said you were going to be in Provo most of the morning. Are you already out there?
I'm already down here. I'm going to show up on the Behind Enemy Lines. I'm going on the BYU Sports Nation set a little bit later to give the Ute perspective on this game. And, we're already down here in enemy territory. I was at the Harmons earlier, and everyone's wearing that hideous blue. And I was just like, all right, this is what the rivalry is, man. It is back. It is in its glory day right now, ranked versus ranked. Big 12 championship implications on the line here. 2 really, really good teams, full of really interesting players, coached by incredible men. We could not be luckier to have a holy war like this one being played right now, even at this point in the season. I wish it was the end of November, but, the weather could not be more perfect for a contest like this one. It's going to be a packed stadium. It's going to be crazy. And, man, we are blessed to have a game like this one on an October Saturday.
Well said, Sean O'Connell. Don't get in any fights in Utah County this Saturday, and we'll see you in a couple hours.
You got to pay me if you want me to fight, and nobody's going to do that down here. So
That's the right attitude. Sean O'Connell, the real OC. You can hear him each and every weekday, 11 to 2, right here on ESPN 700. We're going to be back. A quick segment on the other side, talk a little Pro Utes, and then in the 2 o'clock hour, Zach Moss, some Coordinator's Corner, Robert Rojo Johnson, and more still to come on the Utes Game Day show. Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, Stevenson, Sylvester will take over about 2 hours from right now on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Hey, y'all, this is O-Block member Spencer Fano, and you're listening to Utah Football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
One of the Fano brothers bringing us back in on a Utes game day. Of course, a big, big part of Utah's game plan today against BYU, the 15th-ranked Cougars, welcoming in number 23 Utah to town for the 103rd installment of the Holy War. I am Porter Larsen. Alongside me today, Trevor Reilly. Zach Moss is going to stop by just after the top of the hour. How about a little update on some pro Utes? Just a remarkable run of play for a bunch of locals in the NFL. And frankly, we've got to give credit to our guys down in Provo and the guys up in Logan, even some Weber State standouts on the NFL side. So a lot of pro Utes that are making headwinds in the NFL, but not just Utes, of course, locally in general. Devin Lloyd, Tim Patrick, Terrell Burgess, Nephi Sewell, Devon Vele, Mo Diabate, Lecky Fotu, Garrett Bowles, Cody Barton, Jonah Ellis, Kareni Reed, Matt Gay, Clark Phillips III, Sione Vaki, and Connor O'Toole. Those are all the guys that are on active NFL rosters this week on a bye, of course. Buffalo, Cole Bishop, Dalton Kincaid, Mitch Wishnowsky, all on Buffalo's roster. Start at the top, Trevor Reilly. In Jacksonville, Devin Lloyd, although he missed last week with an injury, has been among the best linebackers in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
No surprise to you, I assume.
I coached him, man. I showed up in 18. He was a backup. I said, Coach, who the hell is that, man? He should be on our NFL roster right now.
Right.
He looked like Hercules, man. He's from Chula Vista. He's a military family, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And he was a receiver and a safety in San Diego, but he's a guy who's just killing it. Terrell Burgess, he's another San Diego guy, San Marcos High School. He was a backup for 3 years. He didn't even play, dude. His senior year, like, all right, we'll let him play then.
Yeah.
All right, put him out there.
He's one of those great. He's one of those great stories when it comes to Utah football. Of you say next man up. Sometimes it can be a little trite, right? Like that's every team. Someone gets hurt, the next guy shows up.
I'm just telling you.
But Terrell, for 3 years, was a special teams guy. He came in to maybe get some guys some breathers in the defensive backfield for 3 years, and then became a starter, and all of a sudden an NFL player within a calendar year.
When we recruit San Diego, we mostly hit Tim Patrick.
Yep.
Guess where he's from?
Yep.
Devon Vele. Guess where he's from? Okay, I was just with his high school coach, Cree Morris, the other day. He's training my kids. He's quarterback coach. The point is that Eric Weddle's coaching down there. We got a rich history down there. And a lot of those guys in that specific town, as you go back and look at the last 30 years, we've been carrying this program. Sam Brenner, Jordan Wynn.
Isaiah Jefferson's coming in, the tight end.
Right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Is that Tony's? Is he related to Tony?
Jefferson's little brother. I grew up with that family, so I know Tony. He follows me on X.
There's a real
Okay.
pipeline.
Yeah,
There's a real pipeline, of course,
Yeah,
San Diego.
Let's go San Diego.
Alex Smith, come on, dude.
You talk about Eric Weddle. He and Rancho are, I think, undefeated still. Got to check last night.
His son is doing phenomenal.
His son
two-way
is one
player,
of the top recruits in the country.
Quarterback, right?
Utah's going to have to fight to keep him, though.
We need some money, okay?
Yeah,
we need some gosh dang money. We're
Yeah.
not doing well in that regard, everybody. Guys, we need private money. We're not doing well. Go look it up. We're behind.
We need it.
And this is going to be a great game, right?
It's
Because
legal.
we mentioned earlier, Porter, I want to ask you this. BYU, we know the rumors and what they got going on with the tech money and all the stuff going on. Look at the product. They're undefeated. They're winning with a freshman, for heaven's sakes. Where do you see this thing headed now, right? The rules are getting looser. It seems that everybody's doing what they want financially. What you're a fan. I'm kind of on the inside as a former player a little bit. You're a fan. You're a commentator. When you hear we're talking about, hey, there's money, what triggers in you?
Well, first off, you mentioned the guardrails, the loose, right? I think that there's going to be some form of tightening up on that just in the regulation-wise, right? It's probably not going to come from the NCAA, to be honest. It's probably going to come from Congress. Like, that's where we're at now because the NCAA has no teeth, right? So there's going to be some form of that being reeled in a little bit, but that doesn't mean the money era is going to go anywhere in sports. It's here to stay. You can't put that cat back in the bag in any way, shape, or form. And You bring up concerns that are warranted because Salt Lake isn't L.A. It's not, as you mentioned, even Lubbock, that is a different market.
Yep.
But there's opportunity here. You can see BYU is capitalizing on that, but as you mentioned, it's a competition now. It is a big competition, and BYU has an opportunity to reverse the trend that Utah was able to capitalize on with the Pac-12 revenue, with the TV revenue, with the conference revenue. It has now shifted more to corporate money, corporate revenue, and less conference tie-ins, because we don't know what these conferences look like in 5 years. And so as a fan, as someone looking at it from the outside, man, it looks like chaos right now. But if you watch Game of Thrones, chaos is a ladder.
That's right.
BYU is looking at that as a reality. Texas Tech is looking at that as a reality, and they're striking when the iron's hot. And here's the thing. Utah has that opportunity as well. You just have to find it. You have to find those guys willing to write the checks. You have to find those guys that are willing to invest in the programs. And that's the point of college football that we are in. It's much more a semi-pro league than it is an academic league at this point, an amateur league. That's kind of a thing in the past. All right, we're going to get to break because, well, on the other side, a pretty important guest. Number one in the record books when it comes to Utah rushing touchdowns, yards, all of the above. Sorry, Darrell. You're up there on those lists.
I met this man
Let's be
before.
clear. You're
I'm
up there
proud
on
of
those
him.
lists. But Zach Moss he's
Let's
atop all of those
That's right.
lists. He joins the show
man.
on the other side here on a Utes Game Day on Utah's number one sports talk. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
This is Utah linebacker Lander Barton, and you're listening to Utah Football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Welcome back. Utes Game Day on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, a rivalry edition of Utah Football's Game Day. Alongside me, I'm Porter Larsen. This guy's Trevor Reilly. Darrell Max with us here at Bout Time Pub and Vineyard, 568 North Mill Road. We've got some Utah fans coming in the doors, grabbing their grab bags, and I've got some goodies for you as well. Zach Moss on the show as we go along on a Utes Game Day, the number one running back in Utah football history, a guy with some experience in the Holy War. Zemo, what's up, man?
What's up, fellas?
Always good to hear from you. Always appreciate your time, Zach. I hear you're in Utah County. listen, you're usually in Utah County. We don't have to give away your location. You're here a lot, but you're going to be at the game. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I'll be traveling that way as a visitor officially this time, so that'd be pretty cool.
When was the last time you were at LaVell Edwards Stadium?
2019.
Now, I have to assume, Zach, that is a pretty fond memory of yours when, of course, you were Utah's starting running back. We know all about Zach Moss's career at Utah, but there's got to be a standout there when Kyle Whittingham said, hey, BYU, I've got this guy in my backfield. I got 10 minutes on the clock in a lead. Try to stop him. And, well, you ran out 10 minutes of the clock. For me, it's one of the more pleasurable recent rivalry experiences. Run me through that 10 minutes in Zach Moss's mind.
Yeah, man, that was an eventful night. First game of the year. I'm playing with a broken bone in my right hand, in my dominant hand. So,
right.
I was kind of surprised they gave me the ball that much. So even, so I was surprised by that. But obviously we had a delay in the game as well, which made it even longer, got drawn out. And Coach Witt decides to, just kind of just run this clock out and use me in that way, which in the moment when it's happening, I'm not even really aware of, how much time you just run up the clock. Even when I come to the sideline, it's not really even, you're just in that mode that you kind of got to be in when, the offense is going to continue to hand you the ball off and just ask you to take them home. So that was special because I finally had one of those games where I could, really be a part of this rivalry that I've gotten accustomed to, just learning about just the history, the long history of it, and finally having one of those games where I was able to, etch my name into the rivalry a little bit.
I was going to say, you didn't put your fingerprints on the rivalry. You put your boot on the rivalry and stepped on it. It was a pretty cool moment.
Well, Zach, it's Trevor here. How you doing, man?
What's up, my man?
Yeah, I was coaching there. I was just a lowly undergraduate tight ends assistant coach. And you know what the game plan was? Give the ball to Zach and see what happens. The year before, this is what I want to ask you about.
That was the game plan.
Do you remember about the quota Coach put out there for the amount of carries that you were supposed to have at the end of 2018? Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
He used to have a quota. If Zach doesn't get over 20 touches a game, we're going to have a problem come Sunday. And you talked about the first game of the season, man.
Rightfully so.
I think the OC, Andy, was his first game, I think. Right? Is that right, Zach?
Yeah,
it was the first game, right?
Yeah, first
He was
game.
very aware of what the previous game plan was supposed to be, right, in 2018. So I just wanted to tell you and let everybody know that Zach is a legend, and he's won a lot of games for this university on his body. So, I pray for your body, Zach. How's everything going in that regard? How you feeling?
Good, man. I'm feeling a lot better. Just home right now, chilling with the fam, and just being in my other role, my best role, being a dad and husband right now.
Well, I got another dad and husband here, Darrell Mack. I want you to talk a little bit about these tailbacks, all right? You clued into the season a little bit. Give me your thoughts on the tailbacks for either team, and what do you think we have to come here? What are you seeing?
I mean, the two guys we got in the backfield, they play off each other really well. I think the offense uses them really well. Neither one of those guys are just outright going to get all the carries or something like that, which I think continues to keep them fresh and keep the offense very, very efficient. If you look at their numbers, both of them combined, and then you play with a guy like Dan Pierre, who's a super threat with his legs. He's ran for over 1,000 yards in his collegiate career already and things of that nature. So he's a threat from that aspect. I've pretty much called them a three-headed monster just in the run game. And you talk about that offensive line as well. When you put all those different things together, man, you get a perfect concoction of an offense that stays in front of the chains. And this is what they're going to have to go out there and do tonight, is make sure they stay in front of the chains and don't get any second and longs, third and longs. Passing the ball really isn't our strength this year. Not a great strength. So, for them, they just got to go out there and really just go out there and attack it, man. It's going to be a crazy environment, probably the most hectic one that's probably been in a long time because they're in the same conference now It's a lot at stake and things of that nature. So all three of those guys, man, if they have the night that they are capable of having with their talent, we'll come out of this thing smoking.
Zach, you've shared backfields with Tyler Huntley. You've shared backfields with Josh Allen. You go down the list, a bunch of different types of quarterbacks. Give me an idea of the dynamic that Devin Dampier adds to a backfield and how he helps and sometimes even makes it challenging on offenses as well sometimes when you got a guy back there who, number one, not a big fella. Dev's 5'10", 5'11", right, 180-something pounds. Give me an idea of the dynamic that a quarterback like him, very mobile, very good escapability, the kind of challenges but also benefits he provides to a backfield and maybe an offensive line too.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Dampier who's, his main threat, which has been highlighted through his college career so far, is his legs. So when you have a guy like that, quarterback that can easily go run for 100 yards, right? We throw in analytics and all that type of stuff as well. The quarterback run game is significant, and when you have a guy that can do that, that puts you in a very, very favorable spot. Like you said, I've played with Josh, and we used to run Josh a lot just because of the analytic part of the thing, is getting 10 on 10, getting hats on the hat, and asking him to beat one guy. Dampier clearly can do that over and over and over, and obviously he's much, much healthier than he was early in the year, coming over the bye week, and we saw what he was able to do versus Arizona State and how he was very explosive in the run game. So I'm obviously expecting that to be a big dosage of the package of what the offense is going to be able to do today. But you can't. It's a lot of man-to-man coverage when you have a guy like that. You can't play too much zone. You can't sit in too high safeties and things of that nature. When you have a guy like that in the backfield, and they can't stack the box on you either. So that helps the running backs get the ball, and that's why we've been able to be so efficient. And it's a running back stream when you get a guy like that that can take another safety out of the box as well.
The other team has a similar guy, a runner at quarterback. I describe him as he's the white version of Jalen Hurts, and the way he looks with that lower half, right, and he throws the ball just pretty good. But talking about him, and I got Darrell sitting here, another tailback. I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, this guy looks like a tailback. Like, he looks like a power back, man.
Yeah,
any thoughts on that, man? Any thoughts on that guy, Zach? What do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely built unlike any other quarterback, not your normal quarterback. So, and they run the ball a ton as well. So it's really, we've talked a lot about just Utah's trenches, right? We pride ourselves on that. So it's going to be a real test going down there today, and it's going to be a trench talk. It's going to be all about the trenches, and the game is always won within the trenches regardless. But this one is even highlighted even more just because of how we play and the way they also play, which is 60% of the run game is their offense, right? So you talk about, two guys that don't throw the ball a ton, can get it done a little bit, but it's not a shrimp. So whoever's able to take away the run game today is going to come out victorious.
Hey, what's up, Zach? It's Darrell Mack, man. It's a pleasure being here on the radio with you, man. These running backs, man, we got a stable back there, man. I love what we got back there. We got a great quarterback. I love to see these guys protect this guy, man, and make some plays without the ball in their hand. Protect them, pick up those blitzes, get those check downs, catch the ball. Let's spread it out, man, if we got to. But we definitely got something going on over here on offense, and I'm ready to see if BYU can keep up with us, man, with this lateral movement, man. They got some big men over there, but I don't think, they got what it takes, man, to keep up with this misdirection if we start to get loose, So I'm excited for today, man.
Yeah, this is a game for Beck, our OC, man, to really dial up some things and really show how deep his offensive bag is. I mean, we've seen some really good things early on. So like you said, like getting these guys in space, allowing them to go out there and play in space and make plays and, get explosive that way. I'm really excited to see how he's going to call the game, right? Because you're not going to just be able to just run straight down their face, right? You got to be able to get on the edges and things like that as well. So, like you said, I'm excited to see what we can do. And obviously, I think, this is Beck's. It's a lot of guys' first time in this game. So you got to be able to learn real fast. And like I said, this one is not like it's just a bragging rights. It's a lot of different things this time around. It's, be in the same conference. You can hold each other out of a conference championship game, all this other type of stuff as well. NIL. You got a lot of people going to be at this game, so it's going to be fun.
Zach, Utah's defense is historically and almost year by year one of the better run-stopping defenses in all of college football. This year, they're kind of middle of the pack in the middle. Now, I know some of that has been injuries. I know some of that has been a focus on the pass game. Some of that has been Texas Tech and some other opponents just being good on the ground. Is there any concern from you in the middle, and what have you seen from this Utah team that has allowed that trend to kind of get away from them? They are, I think, 60th FBS against the run.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've played a little bit more explosive teams when it comes to the run game. Not a lot of, just a lot of attempts when it comes to the run game, but guys have been able to break some things loose and things like that. So that kind of, sets you back a little bit. I don't know how explosive this BYU run offense is. I know they run it a lot, which doesn't necessarily mean they are, explosive when it comes to that. But I think for this game, stats and things kind of go out of the window, right? Like, this is a game about, it's a rivalry. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be tough, right? I don't care if Utah was ranked number 1 and BYU wasn't ranked, right? It's going to come down essentially to the last possession and things of that nature, just because of how this game is built. So, guys are going to have to play up probably more than they've ever played in their life. They're going to have to really go ahead and dig out something and find something in themselves that they probably didn't know was there. But the moment is going to call for it. So, and I think we have the guys, obviously we have the coaching staff and things of that nature that is going to get these guys ready for tonight. And it's going to be a big one. So, I'm looking for them to go out there and take the moment.
Well, I can't help but think about when you were playing, just how cool, calm, and collected you were. Is there a moment besides that great 10-minute drive? Is there a moment that comes up in the rivalry, your fondest time? Any memories? What do you got for us?
My first Holy War game was in 2016 at Rice Eccles, and I wasn't the starter that year. And I remember coming into the game in the fourth quarter and had probably like 2 or 3 carries back to back. And, it was the first time I really understood, what college football was about. Like, the atmosphere, the experience, the nerves, the anxiousness, all those type of things you kind of get. Before that, I think we played, maybe 2 warm-up games, like a Southern Utah, something like that. But, obviously my first time in this game really opened my eyes to what college football was about, and really just living in the moment and trying to seize the moment and being as dominant as you can. And this is a game, like we talked about, this is a game where you can, really, really put yourself in a different spot when it comes to this in-state rivalry.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Zach, there's just so much more tied to this rivalry than just a football game. Of course, historically, but also this year, 2 ranked teams, Big 12 title hopes on the line. And in this age of college football, when you have Big 12 title hopes, that means you have college football playoff hopes. And that makes this rivalry today all that much more interesting. Zach, we appreciate your time as always. Get back to those kiddos, and we'll see you at LaVell Edwards Stadium here shortly. Appreciate it, dude.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Have a good time out there.
Zach Moss, one of the best to ever do it at the University of Utah, joining us on the Utes Game Day pregame show. Good friend of the program, good friend of the station, and always very, good with his time, one Zach Moss is. So we appreciate him for doing so. We're about time in Vineyard, 568 North Mill Road. They got all the games up on the screen. They got some MMA going. We got all the stops pulled out here for you at about time. Got some Ute fans, got some BYU fans. We just got some football fans in here as well, ready for what's to come on this Saturday, including the 103rd installment of the Holy War. It's number 23 Utah at number 15 BYU. Kickoff at 6. Bill, Scott, and Sly take over at 4. And myself, Trevor Reilly, Darrell Mack, we're here at about time. Until then, it's Utah's number 1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is head coach Kyle Whittingham, and you're listening to Utah football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
That was head coach Kyle Whittingham bringing us back in on the Utes Game Day pregame show. Of course, Kyle Whittingham, a steep history in the BYU and Utah rivalry. He and his family have been directly involved in 52 of the 103 installments of this game. It is, as a football fan in Utah, as a football fan in general, this is my favorite rivalry in all of college football, not just because of the close games, not just because of the tension on the field, but because of the culture around it, the families that are surrounding these programs and the history therein. It's just a lot of fun. And anyone who is in this state, even if they're not football fans, they probably know the deal, or they at least have had to at some point take a side between Utah or BYU. And kickoff comes your way in less than 4 hours right here on Utah's number one sports talk, ESPN 700. The Utes Game Day pregame show each and every week, brought to you by our friends at Outlaw Distillery. They are also the official spirits provider of our tailgate. So at each home game at the University of Utah, they've got their bourbon, their honey bourbon, their vodka, the spice rum, the new barrel-proof bourbon. They'll have all of those at the tailgates. They're all available at state liquor stores. They're available at Big Willie's Bar and more. And our friend Tyler is on the line to discuss Outlaw. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, good afternoon, guys.
Now, as I just talked about, Utah BYU, it's part of Utah's culture. It's part of, like, the identity of this state, not just football, but this rivalry specifically. That's part of your story at Outlaw, right? So I'm assuming, Tyler, you've had to take a side on this rivalry. Let us in. What's the Outlaw allegiance here?
We're just proud to be part of Utah and the Utah community. We make all of our products from local Utah ingredients. I'm not saying we necessarily take a side, but I was at the Utes tailgates put on by ESPN Radio at the beginning of the year. So,
of course,
if there is an allegiance, I think that might make it a little clear. But honestly, it's just a great day to be from Utah, kind of show the world what Utah's all about. And I just hope the guys play well today, and everybody ends the game safe, healthy, happy.
Now let's talk Outlaw Distillery, your origin story, how you got involved, particularly Tyler, with this business, with this industry, and how Outlaw became a staple here in Utah.
Yeah, so if you go back, we started in 2015. We're coming up on January 1st is the day we opened, so we're coming up on 11 years now. I partnered with the founder, Kirk Cedric. He still works for us, and I stepped in and redesigned, perfected recipes, grew the business, and now we're in 3 states distributing, 2 states manufacturing, and we're proud to kind of showcase the best of Utah to the wider audience. We have online sales that's shipped out to 42 of the 50 states, which is quite the feat. The ones that we haven't delivered to, it's illegal, and Utah included. So pretty cool to say. We're a small grain-to-glass distillery that really puts Utah at the forefront of the alcohol and spirits conversation.
Can you expand on grain-to-glass for folks listening? What does that actually mean in practice, not just a term that sounds good on the radio?
Yeah. So grain-to-glass means we actually buy grain ingredients. Grain's the primary ingredient in a whiskey. We buy that from local farms. We mill it, cook, ferment, distill, everything in-house. What's rare about that is about 90% of the whiskey bottles on the shelf are not made by the brand who claims to make it. So if you think the Kirkland model with Costco, it's very similar in the world of spirits. It's just much more prevalent. So when we say grain to glass, that's really, for me, a badge of honor to say, we've made the investment, the time, the energy, the choosing of the ingredients to bring it all in-house. Think farm to table in restaurants. That's the closest equivalent.
Yeah, grain to glass, meaning it's all in-house. It's all their product, right? It's not just a label slapped on some product that's being shipped all over the country. It is a Utah product. All right, why Outlaw? Is that you? Is that Kirk? What's What's the origin for the name and the identity?
Yeah, so that's actually also rooted in Utah. We wanted to kind of honor Utah history without being another pun about the religion. So what we did is I-15 was the primary migratory path from Canada all the way down to Mexico. That used to be called the Outlaw Trail. So when you're looking at authentic Utah roots, Outlaw really emerged to the top of the list. Butch Cassidy, born in Beaver, did most of his outlaw life throughout Utah. And again, what we were trying to do is really resonate with Utah history, Utah roots, and then have a brand that wasn't geographically restricted, right? While we're rooted in Utah, Outlaw's a name that resonates with people in Florida, Texas, California, you name it. So that's what we were going for.
Yeah, as the pregame host at the University of Utah, I gotta bring it up, right? Brigham Young, University of Utah. There's the history here. My name is Porter because of Porter Rockwell, who was Brigham Young's henchman. He is a distant relative of mine. My family are directly involved in all of that history that you just mentioned, including the Outlaw Trail. My Redden family were directly involved in kind of the origination of the Outlaw Trail. Now, it's kind of a dark family history if we want to get really honest about it, but it's super cool to research and learn about. And it all ties into Brigham Young and the university and, of course, the culture here. So it's pretty cool to have that tie. Oh, and there's a Redden on the football team at the University of Utah this year as well. So some outlaw blood on the roster for you. Appreciate your time, Tyler. Let the folks know, again, it's outlawdistillery.com, state liquor stores, Big Willie's. What other bars and what other spaces around the state can they find your product?
Urban Hill, but really the best bet is direct from us. If you ever find yourself right around 90th South and I-15, we manufacture right there. We have what's called a package agency. It's our own little liquor store for the products that we sell. There's 4 SKUs in the state liquor stores. We have about 12 on our shelf. So if you want something cool, unique, different that's not available anywhere else, come direct to us. We'll have it there.
It is Outlaw Distillery, friends of the show, friends of the program, and, of course, our spirit provider at ESPN 700 tailgates. As he mentioned, Big Willie's Bar has it on tap, and just a really, really good product forged in the history of the American West and of Utah. Appreciate it, my man. We'll chat with you again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Cheers.
That is time. At Outlaw Distillery, sponsors of the Utes Game Day pregame show. On the other side, how about a little Coordinator's Corner? This week, Morgan Scalley. He previewed Utah's matchup with BYU and his challenge with Bear Bachmeier, true freshman quarterback, and the BYU Cougars. All that and more on the other side. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is Utah quarterback Devin Dampier, and you're listening to Utah football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
QB1, Devin Dampier bringing us back in on the Utes Game Day pregame show. You can hear Devin each and every week on the station with Sean O'Connell and, of course, Dishing with Dev up on the website and YouTube and wherever you happen to listen. If you miss it live, ESPN700sports.com. It's Dishing with Dev each and every week with OC. We are live today at Bout Time Pub in Vineyard. If you're on your way to the game, stop by 568 North Mill Road. Maybe you don't have a place to watch the game, stop by 568 North Mill Road. Maybe after the game, you've got to drown your spirits or you're celebrating. Either which way, stop by. It's Bout Time in Vineyard. We got Mark here with us. Mark, you, general manager, regional manager, you've got a few of these places you work with, yeah?
Yeah, I'm the area operations director here in Utah. I manage 6 of our 9 locations scattered along the Wasatch Front.
This one's obviously well situated regardless. You've got Topgolf here, you've got the Megaplex, you've got a good location here, but for today, I mean, we're right between 2 of the teams here involved in the rivalry game. Pretty good location for what's going on today, no?
Oh, yeah, this is perfect, and one of the only real true sports bars down here in Utah County.
Right.
We have another one in Lehigh, but this is definitely the prime spot to come watch the game today.
All the TVs you could hope for. If you guys want a game, just come in, tell Mark which one it is. I promise you they'll find it on one of these, I don't know, 30, 40 screens?
40. I think we have 40 at this location. We do brag. More TVs than tables.
Yeah, there are more TVs than tables in here, but we'll find you a spot to sit to.
Yep. Make room.
The menu's great. Tell us a little bit about Bout Time Pub's menu, because at all the locations, that is one of the thing that I like to harp on. It's a simple menu, but it's good and it's consistent across most of the spots you stop at.
Oh, yeah. We take pride. Our menu is scratch-made. We make pretty much everything in-house. Fresh, never frozen wings. We hand-bread our own wings. We smoke our own wings in-house. Hand-cut fries. Scratch-made, just good bar food.
You recommended the smoked wings. I'm getting the smoked wings.
Smoked wings, that's the number 1 item on the menu, but anything you order,
I'm still in one of those.
Will
There you
definitely satisfy
And
your
I'm getting the
taste
chubby melt. And anything that's chubby, I usually like, dude.
buds. Yeah, that chubby.
I like chubby.
You're a big guy. You might be able to finish it. But
There you
Except
go.
offensive linemen.
Yeah, there you go.
They're
You know,
your enemies.
I eat those guys for lunch, dude.
All right, Mark. Tonight, obviously the big game, but give us an idea of a night about time, right? You've got food for dinner if you're here before the game. You've got the watch party here during the game, and after the game, you've got a nice night atmosphere as well, yeah?
Oh, yeah. The atmosphere at all locations, not just Vineyard. Again, there's 9 of them along the Wasatch Front. You can go in and party and watch the game all night. Ice cold beer, some of the best cocktails you'll ever have. Again, scratch-made food, more TVs than tables. About time's the place to be.
And after the game gets over, they'll have MMA, they'll have baseball, you'll have the playoffs, you'll have everything here at Bout Time Pub. Mark, appreciate you having us out, man.
Thank you.
I can see you have an allegiance for today's game, too, yeah?
I am definitely a diehard Utah fan. Not a BYU hater, but definitely a diehard
Okay,
Utah
so
fan.
give me your pick. What's the score?
Put him on the spot.
Utah 31-23 BYU.
Okay.
31-23.
Hey, it's still taking it a one-possession game, 8 points. 8 points or
I think it's
less.
gonna be a close one.
This rivalry has been decided by 8 points or less 19 times in the last 30 years. Most of any matchup in all of college football. Pretty remarkable.
I hope you're right, brother.
I hope so, too.
That's Mark from Bout Time. Appreciate him for having us here in Vineyard. It's 568 North Mill Road. Now it's time for Coordinator's Corner. You can hear it each and every week with Sean O'Connell, but here it is in case you missed it live.
The Coordinator's Corner is brought to you by America First Credit Union on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Morgan Scally, our friend, my friend, former teammate. That's, of course, the best thing on his resume, that he was once on the same team as Sean O'Connell. And now...
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
Yeah, exactly. Morgan, how are you, sir?
Doing well, brother. Doing well. Just in the middle of BYU prep and fired up for our guys.
Yeah, fired up for your guys as well. Before we get to rivalry week, the Holy War, everyone's favorite week of the sports calendar here on the Sean O'Connell Show, I want to talk about the week we just saw you finish against a really good Arizona State team that didn't have Sam Levitt, didn't have their normal starting quarterback. How much does that change your game plan when you find out, you get the injury report, and you say, all right, it's going to be Sims. He's a dual threat guy. He's a good runner. He's probably not quite the passer that Sam Levitt is, but did it markedly change the way you were going to call that game?
Absolutely not. They're very similar skill set. Sam was a little bit quicker, side to side. Sims still had the long speed, but in terms of escapability, Levitt has the edge on him there. And then you're right, just a little bit more in terms of the accuracy down the field with Levitt. So did not change much. I think it's much bigger of an issue when you have two completely different quarterbacks, a pocket passer versus a dual threat. So it was good that both had a similar skill set.
So 42-10, the ultimate result. The offense plays incredibly well. I was over the moon with the performance I saw from your defense corralling a guy who statistically is the best wide receiver in the Big 12 Conference, has talked about. I mean, the mock drafts that just came out yesterday have him the number 8 player in the entire country. And, Jordan Tyson had what for him is a bad day against Utah defense, 8 catches, but no room to run after those catches. Talk about, the game plan against him and the performance of Smith Snowden and the other guys that helped corral him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why our corner group was collectively the player of the game on the defensive side of the ball, was what they were able to do. I mean, the big emphasis was going to be, press and get hands-on. There were a few instances where we were going to bracket him with the free safety, and the times that we weren't, that was the challenge. That was a challenge for our guys, and man, did they step up in a huge way. Really good at getting hands-on early, disruptive. When you're playing man coverage, that's the biggest thing is you're trying to disrupt the timing of the quarterback and the wide receiver, timing of routes. Wide receivers have either steps or yards in their head in terms of, yards I need to get on the curl, yards I need to get on the comeback, or steps I need to get on a 3-step. Well, when you've got a guy in his face getting hands-on, all that stuff goes out the window. So very, very pleased with what the secondary did, particularly the corners, and they met the challenge in a huge way.
How do you decide when you're going up against a unique talent at that wide receiver position, whether or not man coverage is the right thing? I know that's kind of like how the Utah defense's bread is buttered, but sometimes there are guys who are man coverage beaters. How does that decision-making process go for you?
Well, a lot of it has to do with situational tendencies, down and distance tendencies. This is a situation where, they like to go deep. When he's lined up in this location, this is where he's most dangerous. This is where they want to go. So a lot of it's just game planning, situational football. And then if, in game, if that plan's not working, you really have to adjust. And do maybe some different things. But, things were working and our guys were doing well in coverage. And so we just kept at it.
You were also credited 5 sacks in this game. Was that you dialing up pressure or guys winning their one-on-one matchups?
It's always the players, brother. It's always the players, and they did a heck of a job executing stunts. Being relentless to the quarterback. You saw John Henry Daly with an unbelievable effort play, that the quarterback ends up bumping into his own guy, but John Henry is the one that forced that. A Levani Demooney going up and over the running back. So a lot of that it's just players making plays, and we've been fortunate to have those guys over the years that find a way to get to the quarterback, and that was a big part of stemming their momentum, because they did get some momentum here and there on drives, and all of a sudden you get a sack or a TFL, and that changes things, and it messes their tempo. You get them off schedule, and now they have to slow things down or call things different. And so that was a big part of the game.
Probably the biggest question that people had for me last week about what your defense was going to be doing against Arizona State was, well, how do you compensate for the absence of Nate Ritchie, who we're glad to hear is not out with a season-ending injury, but is going to miss some extended time. And I was like, I think they'll be okay if Jackson Benny's healthy. And Teo Johnson has been playing better and better, it seems, every game. How did you grade out your safeties against the Sun Devils?
Very, very good. Pleased. Teo had to play a little bit more in the box as a strong safety. I thought he did well. Benny is a natural go up and get it, and also a very good tackler. So I like that duo. And injuries are going to be a part of every single season, and that's why you recruit, and that's why you develop. And you can't sit there and say, "Woe is me." It's next guy up, and let's go. And you saw Nate Tillman when he got his opportunity in there in the game, got a sack, got a TFL, did some really good things as well. And so I was pleased with Tillman's performance as a true freshman as well.
I know that's a tough position to really get the ins and outs of as a true freshman, but I think what I've noticed about Tillman in the limited action we've seen from him so far is it's like, oh, that's why they recruited that guy. I mean, his traits, his acceleration, it seems like a guy, when he gets it, when it clicks all the way, he's going to be a hell of a safety.
100%. And just that exposure in the West Virginia game, second play of the game, it's your time, dude. What an eye-opener for him. And now you can see within the last couple of weeks just the acceleration of his confidence.
Morgan Scalley's our guest here for Coordinator's Corner, brought to you by America First Credit Union. Enough about the Arizona State game. As much as we love that win, 42-10, it is now the best week of the year on our sports calendar. It is Utah versus BYU. It is the Holy War. This has been a game that's been a part of your life one way or another, probably since you can remember. So how do you keep the main thing the main thing? How do you still do the job the same way this week as you do every week when you, more than most people, understand the magnitude of this particular game?
Well, what it takes to win a game, it takes to win a game, and nothing that's said or chanted or whatever ends up winning the game. It's behavior that wins the game. And so, as a young kid and even as a football player, you saw things in a very emotional way. And, it can cause you to be immature. But emotions are a part of this game, whether you like to admit it or not. And it's how do we channel that for good? Because what you don't want is you don't want stupid penalties. You don't want guys doing stuff that's going to cost you a game. And you have to remind guys, here's why you win and here's why you lose, and let's focus on that. Yes, we love the energy and the passion, and it's got to be there. Celebrate together, but it's helping them understand how to channel that emotion, because it's a big game, and recruiting is at stake, and a lot of things are at stake. Bragging rights for fans and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it is a football game that is won by the best, or the team that does the fundamentals, the techniques, the behaviors the best usually ends up winning that game.
Do you like competing against your friends versus competing against strangers? Because I know you got relationships on the BYU staff. I mean, we've got relationships on the BYU staff. They're all great guys. And I like competing against my friends when we're playing poker or pickup basketball or whatever. I've never really had to do it against guys I love and care about when it matters. Do you enjoy competing against your friends?
Well, I don't know that I would categorize it that way. You just have to be aware that they know you, and they're aware that you know them. And so how do you go into that preparation, knowing that, hey, they're going to know when you're in a certain, look, what's coming. So how do you disguise that? So what I enjoy is the gamesmanship of it, not necessarily, hey, I'm going up against my guys. I enjoy the gamesmanship and putting stuff out there that maybe they haven't seen yet, or it's a different disguise. That's what I enjoy.
So the freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, has, I think, he's accelerated his abilities, his throwing ability, especially over these 6 starts he's had. It looks a lot more comfortable than he did maybe in that first game, which makes total sense. You're going to have that growth as people get more accustomed to, the speed of the game and all that. And he's got a great ability to run. I think that his traits are there. When you evaluate and you scheme against somebody like this who's growing fast but still has a lot of room to grow, what are the best ways for you to attack a quarterback like that who has not yet seen everything that a college quarterback is going to see over the course of 3-4 years?
Well, I think the thing that you're seeing with him is like you said, you mentioned it, and I mentioned it with Nate Tillman, the confidence only keeps building with him. This is a young man that does not get rattled that easily. And, man, does he make plays. Whether throwing the ball, and he's got a hose that he can zip it. He's got the ability to run. He's a big tank that, when he pulls it down, you got to be ready. Everyone's got to be ready to run and tackle. So, the things that Aaron's always done a good job of is what is his skill set? How can we, best help him out? And they work to the scheme. So, this is a very good scheme. I've always enjoyed, Aaron Roderick's offense and the wrinkles that they have and the ways that they disguise certain things. And they have not taken a lot off of his plate. When you go from last year to this year, they're still doing quite a bit, which means he's a smart kid. He's picking things up. He's able to audible. He's able to do the things that they're asking him to do. And, he makes his freshman mistakes. But at the same time, he's also made a ton of plays for him that have helped win them football games. So excited to go up against him.
L.J. Martin, their running back, and his production is not dissimilar from Raleek Brown, who you guys slowed down very effectively last week against Arizona State. When we talk about stopping an opposing rushing attack and an opposing running back, how much variation is there in that week to week and player to player even? Like Raleek Brown and L.J. Martin might have similar numbers, but doesn't necessarily mean they run the same or they're good at the same things. So how is stopping L.J. and that BYU rushing attack different than stopping the Arizona State rushing attack?
Raleek's got a little bit more of the fast, quick twitch that, hey, if you miss, get back up because he's coming back. He's more the bouncer and a ton of speed. Whereas LJ, that guy has some of the best contact balance that you'll see. Rarely does he go down on the first hit. Very strong lower body, very good ball security. He's a running back that most teams covet because he doesn't make many mistakes. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's going to protect the ball, and he's got really good contact balance, which is why you see so many yards after contact with him. So a little bit different player than Raleek. In the sense, with Raleek, you're worried about, okay, can we really match up with him at the linebacker spot in man coverage out on air? Can we, we got to be able to rally, and just different coaching points for those two.
What about the wide receivers at BYU? Chase Roberts is an incredibly talented guy. The Hagan kid's got some quicks and some speed. How do you slow down the pass-catching options that they've got, including Carson Ryan, who we all know well because last year he was wearing a Utes uniform?
Yeah, you have to be able to be disruptive. I mean, we're a man coverage team, so you got to be disruptive. They're very good route runners, and this is a group of wide receivers with Jay's defense that has experienced press and experience. So you can see they're much more savvy, maybe versus a press corner than some of your other squads. And they are. You look at that group and they've got speed. They catch the deep ball very well, very great at intermediate routes. So, and they intermix the screen game quite a bit, so you don't know when the deep stuff's coming. And I just think they do a really good job. And those wide receivers, it seems like they catch everything that comes their way.
I asked Evan Dampier about this in our conversation with him this week. It's a road game but it's 45 minutes away, so you don't have to necessarily do things exactly the same way as you do for your other road games. Like, do you sleep in the Ute team hotel, or do you go down to Provo and sleep in a hotel there? How do you handle the little logistics in a game like this?
Well, the hotel that we used to stay in down in Provo, I think BYU now occupies, so it's kept us. We're going to be here in Salt Lake City, and then we'll drive down.
Okay. You should still stay in the same hotel, so both teams are in the same hotel. Just, eat meals together, have it get crazy during rivalry week, little, dance fights in the lobby or something like that.
I'll let you bring that up to the head man. That you and Kyle can have that conversation.
Yeah, all right. I don't think he'll like that suggestion very much. Look, Big Noon Kickoff, again, has decided that this is the game that they want to highlight, even though it's not the 10 a.m. kickoff. We were going through the history of Big Noon Kickoff, which is relatively new in the landscape of college football broadcasting, and we think this is the first time that the studio crew has been at a place that's not the Big Noon Kickoff game, that they've separated those two things. We weren't able to definitively figure out if this is the first time, but if it's not the first, it's one of the first times where the game being broadcast is not the game that they're highlighting by being on location in the studio. I know that doesn't make your life any different this week, but the reason I bring it up is because it feels like another opportunity, national attention, big game atmosphere. We had this just a couple of weeks ago, and it did not go the way that you or the players or the fans wanted it to go. Is there any lesson to be learned from that to adjust to this big game atmosphere and this level of attention to get it right the second time?
I would just say that all that is it serves as distraction. I don't care who's broadcasting. If anyone broadcasts, what it takes to win a game, it takes to win a game. And if you let that stuff, distract you from watching film, from paying attention to things that really matter, it really doesn't matter. We can say, we have a great track record on Big Noon Kickoff, which we probably don't. The thing is, we lost the last two, but that doesn't win or lose football games. It just, it's awesome for fans and awesome for recruits, but for your players, you got to focus on what it takes to win the game, and playing situationally smart and doing the things that win football games. So to me, it's just a big, it can be, if you let it be, a distraction.
It seems like every year, regardless of records, regardless of, what the stakes are, this ends up being a very close game, a hotly contested game that comes down to a play here, a turnover there, a blocked kick or whatever here. Does it feel like that kind of a game to you?
It always feels like that type of a game. I never go in and say, hey, we're going to blow these guys out or we're going to get blown out. This is, and probably because we know each other so well, that's probably, why you see it so close and as it is. And, you got to be able to keep the emotions in check and continue to play till that last whistle, because as you've seen throughout the rivalry, comebacks happen, and you got to be able to finish.
Do you have, as a coach or player, a favorite memory of this Holy War rivalry game?
Senior year, when the fans rushed the stadium floor. That was pretty awesome.
That was my favorite memory, too. I tell that story all the time. I do it this week every year. The coolest thing was how kind of polite everyone was about the whole scenario, right? It was like the fans came down and filled the sidelines about a minute before the game went final, and everyone was just toes on the white, waiting until the final whistle, and then it was like, all right, now the bedlam can ensue. It was great. It's fantastic.
You're the man. I got to get going, brother. I appreciate you.
Always enjoy your time. Thanks so much. Good luck this week. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thanks, OC. Take care, bro.
That's Morgan Scally. Coordinator's Corner brought to you by America First Credit Union, the defensive coordinator for the University of Utah.
Morgan Scally, of course, on the Sean O'Connell Show, Coordinator's Corner, each and every week leading up to Utah's matchup. This time with an old rival, BYU. The 15th-ranked Cougars welcome in number 23 Utah for kickoff in just over 3 hours from right now. Back on the other side, another former Ute, Another former Ute DB, Robert Rojo Johnson, joins the program on the other side. It is a Utes game day from Bout Time in Vineyard. I just got my grub, too. I'm about to dig in on a jalapeno jack burger. It's 568 North Mill Road, Bout Time in Vineyard. Robert Johnson joins the pregame show on the other side on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
Hey, y'all, this is O-Block member Spencer Fano, and you're listening to Utah Football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
The captain, Spencer Fano, bringing us back in on Utes Game Day. Of course, going to play a hefty role in Utah's matchup today. The number 23 Utes are on the road to face number 15 BYU, the 103rd installment, of the rivalry game. It is, of course, the first time since 2009 that both teams have been ranked at the same time during the competition. And probably the biggest matchup between these two schools in quite some time, definitely the biggest so far in the Big 12 era. We are live today at Bout Time in Vineyard. It's 568 North Mill Road. I got my Jumpin' Jack jalapeno jack burger. Phenomenal. It was really good. And we got the slider appetizer platter. Trevor Reilly scarfed down. I didn't even see what you had because you ate it so fast. What'd you get?
I had some kind of fat kid, the chubby burger.
The chubby burger.
It was 2 grilled cheese sandwiches so basically 4 pieces of bread.
Right.
2 full grilled cheese sandwiches is the buns and a cheeseburger.
That sounds like a meal for a football player.
Oh, my gosh, dude.
That sounds like a meal for a guy who's played some
I overate,
NFL
man.
football.
My insulin, I feel, oh, my goodness.
Well, we'll let you recoup for a minute. We got Robert Johnson on the show today, and he's got some history in the rivalry as well. Of course, Rojo, Sugar Bowl, 2009, he was still there as a senior, and that was the last time Utah and BYU were ranked at the same time. Rojo, appreciate your time, dude. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How y'all doing? I hear y'all over there eating up all that good food.
Hello, we doing good, Rob.
Darrell Mack here with us. He had to say hello.
I was just talking to D-Mac earlier, and he said he's gonna come down there. So you down there, bro?
We're eating without you, Rojo, but I know you got the hands full on single dad duty. We appreciate you making the time for us today. Standout rivalry moment for you, Robert Johnson, maybe individually or hey, maybe team-wise. Your favorite look back on Utah BYU matchup while you were here.
Just thinking back to that 2009 season, D-Mac and definitely most likely Trevor Reilly too. When we was playing at home, and going into halftime, I think the game was it was either 14 and 17. I think when we was going into halftime, when we went on our undefeated season, I think it was a tight game going into halftime, and I just remember defense wise, we always make our adjustments, and when we came in. At that time, Coach Tataki was our defensive coordinator. No, it was Coach Anderson as our defensive coordinator. And the first thing he said, he was like, I have nothing for y'all. He was like, y'all just go out there and just finish the deal. And the game was tight going into halftime. And then we just blew it up and started just getting all type of interceptions off Maxie Hall. I was going to say something else, but I'll say Max Hall. I'll be respectful to the people down south.
It's real, Porter Larsen. Okay, the blood is boiling. A bad memory for me. I was redshirting in 2009. You remember that game down at BYU, don't you?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And that just brings up the juice of this rivalry, right? You remember the bad ones and you remember the good ones. Robert, you're looking at this game, right? What are you looking at? What do you think the key factor is going to be for this Ute defense? In the next part of that question, who we got to stop? Who you keying on as a guy to be a big factor in the game?
Well, team down south, the coaches are great. I won't say the players. The coaches are great. Oh yeah, then Ephraim Asiata, he's good. But the one thing I will say that will be the biggest thing that we need to worry about is the crowd, the atmosphere. I don't even believe that it's the players because it's a lot of times when you're going down there. The crowd is the people that bring them back to life. So when it comes to this type of game, that quarterback is pretty solid, but just to bottle them up, keep them inside the cup. That's what a lot of us defensive players say, keep them inside the cup. And I think that will be our biggest win if our D-line steps up and front seven steps up and do what they're supposed to be doing
and then it just eliminates the crowd. And that will be the biggest match of the is to take the quarterback, keep him from running, and then dominate and make the crowd have second thoughts, make them leave early in their own field.
Rojo, Utah's defensive backfield has kind of been rotating a little bit. A lot of that is thanks to some injuries in the rooms as well, mostly at the safety position. How have you graded out the defensive backfield specifically? How do you think they've performed so far? And what do you think this test poses them against a true freshman quarterback who probably poses, I would say, more of a threat with his legs, but he seems to also be getting better and better each week with his arm?
I mean, what I would say is that I grade our defensive backs, or just secondary in general, as an A right now. They're doing really, really well with what they have. They're not dominant. We don't see the big splash plays of most of the interceptions that we're used to seeing. We're seeing it from just one person. And
Jackson Benny.
Jackson. Yep. Jack Benny. We're seeing it from him, but you got to remember that most of the years that the University of Utah has been known for is really good defensive backs. And we always figure out ways to make plays. But right now, our defensive backs, our secondary or safety-wise, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, which one of the things that I know D-Mac as well as Trevor know, Coach Witt is big on just do your job. And I think right now our safeties, they're doing their job. It just might not look like it because those explosive plays or those big turnover plays is not happening, but they're doing their job. There's not too many big explosive plays coming from their end as going over our head as much. So it might not look like it, and the fans might not understand it as much, or some might do. But as long as the safeties are not giving up those deep bomb plays, like every game, at least giving up 2 to 3, they're doing their job, and that's why I give them an A. It could be an A+ by getting turnovers and scoring with it.
Okay, you think the first personal foul is before the game starts or when the game? And if it does start, okay, what's going to pop it off? What's the first personal foul? So, like, for me, I'm thinking the first personal foul is going to be probably on a hit on a quarterback.
You
first
mentioned
drive.
it. It might be before the game.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think,
don't know
Robert?
To me, I think it's before the game because
it's going to be that heated.
Remember, I feel like the game that we lost last year, it wasn't the players' fault. So if it was up to me in my eyes, it's like I'm going to set the tone before the game and let them know that I'm not coming here to play. Like, I'm coming here to walk out of here with a win. Because
so what does that mean, Robert, when you say I'm not coming here to play, right? What does that mean, Robert, when you say I'm not coming here to play? What does that mean?
Business time.
I'm better with actions than I am with words.
Okay.
That stepping out on that terrible field up there, we already know that they're going to water the grass. We already know that they're going to keep it moist, and they're not going to cut the grass. So
Let's
the grass
talk about it.
Higher as usual. Yeah, so we all know that's the little mental games that they play, and who knows what they might try to pull because that's their way of trying to get wins. They're going to try to think of something to try to mentally distract us from what's happening in the game. So I say we step out there and do what we need to do.
They have that exclusive grass. I don't like it.
You don't like it either, huh, D-Man?
Nah, there's something going on with that grass, man. There's something going on with it. I'm not really.
Rojo, expand on it a little bit. Give us an idea. Playing in Provo versus playing in Salt Lake, what you may see that's a little different.
I mean, you see fans that genuinely hate you, it feels like. But then at the end of the day, they would never step out on the field with you. So that's what I would say is that up there, down south is not. It's University of Utah Rice-Echo Stadium is the best stadium here in the state of Utah. Not that place over there. It's just not.
I love this rivalry, man. You players, you can't stop. I talked a little bit about earlier. Sly was on the show, and he's out fighting teenagers in the street. He is fighting with his neighbor who put up a BYU flag, and Rojo has been seething since Utah lost that game last year. I love that you can't escape the rivalry, right? We can have a whole season of football in between. Still thinking about that one. That one last year against BYU.
The rivalry, it goes the year round. Robert, you and I have spoken about BYU and we ain't seen each other in 10 years. I see you at the Mexican restaurant. We're talking Utah BYU, okay? So that's how it goes in this thing. You're going to talk about this the whole year. You talked about you were devastated with the loss this last season. Any stories from, if you can, I'm putting you on the spot, any stories where you're like, gosh, dang it, one of my friends is talking smack, or a business associate. I'll give you an example. I went to this golf thing. Robert, we did this golf thing. And these smug BYU guys were there, right? You know, hey, how's it go? Good luck this season. Well, whatever, dude. Don't headbutt you in the face, dude.
Yeah.
But anyways, any stories for you about, just the pain of that loss? You know, any memories?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a bully, but then the little kids that don't really know, the younger kids that don't really know, like, the full 20-year span, they like, oh, yeah, we beat y'all, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, you know, we've been kicking y'all butt for the last 20 years. You know, we went on an 11-game winning streak against y'all. Like, y'all pretty much, y'all not even little brothers to us anymore. Y'all like the stepchild well, I wouldn't say it like that because that sounds kind of bad. What I would say is that they're the animal of the family. Where it's like they matter, but then they kind of don't matter. Like, that's how it's been looking like.
Well, they are the Cougars, dude.
Are these teenagers you're fighting with, or children? High school? Like, how old are these kids you're arguing with?
I'm not really fighting with them, but I'm giving them the rundown of the history of, like, you was just born just maybe a couple of years ago. Like, you don't know that we've been kicking your parents, coaching, your parents cheering on this team for a while now. So
it's funny you mention it that way, Rojo, because it really is generational, right? If you're from a certain generation, if you're super young, like the last couple of years of BYU winning games has been a surprise, right? Where you're not used to that. You probably, I know kids that were in high school who never saw BYU win a game until that one, a few years ago. And if you're from an older age, if you're a boomer, you saw BYU win for 30 damn years, right? So there is a generational thing here where it just adds another dynamic to this rivalry. Another perspective to this rivalry that's just so fun to get perspectives on. Rojo, as you go ahead.
Just quickly think about this. The series is what we had 103.
103 total. Yep.
Okay. Who has the most wins?
Utah leads the series 62, 36, and 4. That's all you got to say.
It's like, yeah, you have not been born, but guess what? Your grandma remember this. Like, yeah, so
okay,
let's enjoy it.
Robert, question real quick about the receiving core of this BYU team, right? They got some speed
good
here, okay? We're down 2 safeties. Our DBs last week, they killed it against Tyson, albeit a backup quarterback was in Sims. You worried about anybody? They got the white guy, 11, Kingston. He can really go. They got JoJo.
Roberts too.
They got Roberts.
They got
who's
a
been there
future
forever.
NFL guy probably.
Who's the guy on that receiving core that scares you as a free safety?
None of them.
None of them.
The way that I look at it is that I love my D line, and when you have like Trevor, like when y'all are rolling, it makes it easy for us DBs. That's why the listeners need to understand that football is a team sport, and when it comes to playing against some really good key receivers, if your D line can speed up that time of that quarterback, it makes it hard for him to get rid of the ball and it makes him get nervous about throwing it to whoever his good receiver is supposed to be. So for us DBs, like I wouldn't be worried about too much of the receiving core. It's just making sure not to give up the explosive plays, like I said earlier. And then on top of that, just understanding that if you look at those stats of which receiver gets the ball the most, you want to lean in a little bit on that receiver a little bit more. You want to shade over to that side a little bit more. But if your D-line doing what they're supposed to be doing and the linebackers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that quarterback is not going to be able to throw the ball the way he wants to.
Rojo, I have an idea of which way you're leaning in this one, but if you want to, give us your prediction on the way out. You think Utah gets this done?
I'm 90% sure that Utah will get the win, but then the more thing I'm worried about is freaking Fox the afternoon. I'm more worried about them than I am about the team down south. Like I feel like whenever we have this type of not pressure, but this type of
attention.
Attention from these type of networks, it just throws us off for some strange reason. So
this big noon crew or Fox News, I put it on Instagram like, man, y'all shouldn't be coming. Like, this is one of those games that y'all need to just stay away from.
Let us handle business.
You know, yes. So I really feel like right now that Utah will win, but I think that distraction plays a big factor, and it's not the team down south. It's just the distraction.
Rojo, we appreciate your time as always. Get back to soccer, whatever you got going on today. I'm sure you're busy, busy on the dad duty side. Appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.
See you later, Rob.
Robert Rojo Johnson, one of the best ever do it in the defensive backfield here at the University of Utah. Always appreciate his time. On the other side, how about a Big 12 injury report? We'll give you a college football scoreboard update, and then we'll give you all our predictions from here at Bout Time Pub and Grub. All of that comes your way before 4 o'clock, where we'll hand it over to Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, Stevenson Sylvester for the call of the game. I am Porter Larson, and this is Utes Game Day on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is Utah linebacker Lander Barton, and you're listening to Utah Football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Hey, Lander Barton bringing us back in. The Utes starting linebacker, tight end, maybe.
Honestly, I thought he was going to have a better year statistically on defense. They're playing well, but Coach Witt says that he could be an All-American tight end. I can't say I disagree with him.
No, I mean, if you saw Lander play in high school, man, he was a man among boys on the offensive side of the ball as well. Bringing us back in on the Game Day show. Appreciate him. This segment, how about a little Big 12 availability report, your injury update, if you will, brought to you by our friends at JBR Clinical Research and CenXL, conducting clinical research studies to fuel growth and advancement in the medical field, with studies currently on acne, tummy tucks, neuropathy, chronic low back pain, osteoarthritis, and knee pain. Call 801-261-2000 or CenXLResearch.com. That is CenXLResearch.com/JBR. Right now, they're offering an osteoarthritis study, clinical research study for an investigational injection. To participate, call and go to CenXL.com/JBR. Again, the number is 801-261-2000. 2000. And on the injury update for Utah and BYU, you're going to get one more of those, at least a game day update, about 90 minutes before kick. That's about an hour from this very moment right now. But we'll update you on the latest one, which came our way late last night. Rabbit Evans, Nate Ritchie, Dadrian Zipperer, Hunter Andrews, Josh Sovereign, Paul Fitzgerald, Grady Marecco, and Isaiah Garcia appearing on Utah's side of the injury report. I can tell you Rabbit Evans, Dadrian Zipper, and Hunter Andrews are season enders. I know Nate Ritchie not back this week, not back next week likely. His is longer term, but probably not season ending. On the BYU side, JoJo Phillips, Tommy Prasis, Sione Moa, Marcus McKenzie, Coey Bryant, Strother, Raider Demooney, and Anisi Purcell are on the injury report. Purcell is probable. Raider Demooney is doubtful. From what I understand, it's probably not going to be a go for one Raider Demooney. They do get Jack Kelly back, though, one of the better linebackers in the Big 12.
Shoot, in the country, dude.
In the country, really. How big is that for BYU to get him back for this one?
Well, this game is going to come down, to me, open field tackling. Okay, we talked about it all season, and then Arizona State comes up, and we did a great job. We also got to get some more big plays. Okay, Robert alluded to that. We only have one guy getting picks right now. Is that right? So
for the most part, Jonah Hall has one, but yeah, Jackson Benny has been the ball hawk for sure for Utah so far.
And, he was a little banged up a few weeks ago, but he's just a great player. How about the field goal block?
Well, and he was making those plays as a corner and as a slot kind of cornerback. He's playing safety right now and probably will be playing safety for the foreseeable future because of the depth that they're
I'm not
having.
mad at it, dude. I think he's the best athlete on the team. Obviously, that's pretty evident if we really think about it. I'd like to see us at our running backs versus their running backs. I'd like to see us break more tackles at the line of scrimmage. They talked about great contact balance. Scally did of L.J. Martin. Yeah, and so does Bear Bachmeier. Those guys are bigger bodies, bigger lower halves, and our guys are a little more slender, or at least our quarterback. And then I want to see one get the ball more. I say that every week. I think he should get the ball more.
You have been saying that every week. And for Wayshawn Parker, I think it's interesting to watch the dynamic of that running back room with the Kerry Rogers knock, as they call him. He's getting a lot of the red zone stuff. He's getting a lot of the stuff close to the goal line, the shorter yardage stuff, which makes sense. He's a little bit less of a open field guy as Wayshawn is. But the reason you've probably seen the carries even out a little bit is just Wayshawn putting the ball on the ground. We know. Listen, you can go back 30 years. Teams that Kyle Whittingham has coached, if you fumble the ball, your reps are going to go down at least that game, right? You hope to see some ball security from him going forward. Didn't struggle with it last week.
Where 21? Where was he at last year?
Nakari's a New Mexico kid.
Okay, so where's the OC from?
Yeah.
Where's one from?
Yep.
So
Washington
State
rather.
with the running backs coach.
Yep.
So it's a weird thing. Okay.
There's a dynamic
There's
there.
Something there. Okay. That's the only thing I can think of it is that they feel comfortable with 21 because he's been in the system, he's reliable, and it's working. We're winning, gosh dang it. I'm just saying when the game gets real tight, I like our odds with the ball in number one's hand. I like it with Benny's hand. I like it in two's hand. I like it in Dallin's hand, and I like it in our quarterback's hand.
I think I'm with you on that. I think that this game decided. You can't narrow it down to one thing, but I really do think it's going to be decided largely at the line of scrimmage and which team can, yes, sustain the run, establish the run, but the bigger part to me, Trevor, is to establish and sustain the run long enough to set up something down the field. It doesn't have to be all game long. It has to be 2 or 3 times this whole football game. You're going to have to make a play down the field. You're going to have to get some explosiveness. Hey, maybe that is on defense with a turnover and a strip fumble. At some point, though, you're going to have to find some explosiveness, some verticality. And the best way to get there is by setting that defense up, by forcing them to inch closer and closer and closer to the line of scrimmage because of your run game.
That's right.
Which of these teams is better suited to do that right now?
Well, I think Utah is going to have to drop 8 against these guys or blitz 6 or 7. You don't want to match up against this guy. 2 high safeties. He'll cut you up, dude.
Okay.
He'll cut you up, man, because he sees that. He's going to drop back, and then all it is 4 or 5 yards, and you're facing a tailback. And their 2 best players are their running back and quarterback. I really believe this. Their receiving core is solid as a rock. we're going to have to match up on defense. That means man coverage, I think.
I think a lot of man.
And I think a three-man pressure at times, especially on first and second down, doesn't mean we're playing too high. You can play single high with three-man pressure. You just get more guys around the ball. You just put them at the second level. And you can umbrella a little bit in that mid-level section. Say, all right, big dog, beat us deep. And for BYU, I think they're going to have to make sure they tackle well in the perimeter game. Okay, we're going to really stretch them on the perimeter. We're going to see if they can tackle against those bubble screens, the smoke screens.
Utah's going to test their speed on the outside.
I think so, because we're not really built to really run past these guys, but we're big, right? And we can, when you throw the ball out there, you can get quick passes. They're kind of like runs, especially on first down. So if there's stuff in the run, I'm looking for us to have a great game in the quick game.
More on the other side. Utes Game Day rolls along. A couple more segments here before we hand it over to Bill Scott and Sly for the call of the game here in Utah County. It is BYU and Utah, the 130, I keep saying 130, 103rd installment of this rivalry game, and it has the makings of one of the better ones in recent memory. Two top 25 teams going to battle at LaVell Edwards Stadium. I am Porter Larson. That's Trevor Reilly. James Peterson back behind the glass, back with more on the other side. Utes Game Day on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is head coach Kyle Whittingham, and you're listening to Utah Football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
Kyle Whittingham bringing us back in on the Utes Game Day pregame show. I am Porter Larson. That's Trevor Reilly alongside me. Darrell Max running around somewhere. Big thanks to Robert Johnson, Zach Moss, Sean O'Connell, all for stopping by the program. Of course, you heard Morgan Scally on Coordinator's Corner a little bit earlier. How about a college football scoreboard update for you, brought to you by our friends at R&R Barbecue, Utah's own R&R, 11 Utah locations. We got a couple up there in Idaho, too, locally owned and operated, a dozen years and counting, great for catering and more. It's R&R Barbecue. Order online and check out their menu. It's rnrbbq.com. College football scoreboard update brought to you by those guys, and been an eventful one across the country so far. How about the games coming to you live right now? A top 10 matchup in Georgia. It's 21-20. The Bulldogs are down to Ole Miss as we speak. Again, top 10 teams in that matchup. Number 1, Ohio State. They're up 17-0 against Wisconsin right now. Number 3, Indiana. They're delayed at the moment. Them and Michigan State. It's 21-10. The Hoosiers have the lead. Texas Tech and Arizona in the second quarter. It's almost halftime in a low-scoring game there. The Sun Devils have a 9-7 lead over Texas Tech as we approach halftime in that one.
Ole Miss just scored, dude.
Ole Miss just
scored.
scored.
Going to be up 8 or 9 points on the road in Georgia.
So maybe a shakeup in the top 10. As I just mentioned, Arizona State, Texas Tech, maybe another shakeup in the top 10 there. And, hey, a top 25 team in Memphis, they are down 17-14 on the road at UAB. Memphis, the number 22 team in college football right now. And then Texas A&M and Arkansas, they just got going. A&M, number 4 in the country. The other top 25 teams in action tonight, Oregon at Rutgers. Washington State is in Virginia. Again, the Cavaliers, the number 18 team in college football. Number 21, Texas. They are at Kentucky. Number 6, Alabama welcomes number 11, Tennessee. A showdown on ABC. A top 20 matchup between Notre Dame and USC in a rivalry matchup there. South Florida welcomes Florida Atlantic. South Florida, number 19 in the country right now. They are 5-1 on the season. Number 16, Missouri is visiting Auburn this afternoon. Number 24, Cincinnati is on the road to face Oklahoma State. And then the ranked teams that have gone final so far today, how about this one? Vanderbilt, number 17, takes down top 10 LSU 31-24. The first time Vanderbilt has been favored against LSU in 30 years.
I can't even believe that, man.
And they get the W.
When I was at Jackson State, we offered that kid. He came out, I think, New Mexico military or
Pavia?
something. Yeah, man. I mean, it was
Good
just
player.
a crazy story. Another thing here, Texas Tech is playing with the backup quarterback, and Arizona State has them going. They're up 9-7. Let's talk about implications here. Just a quick question. If we beat BYU, okay, Texas Tech wins out.
Okay.
We automatically are in the driver's seat to be the second-place team to play in that championship game. Am I correct on that?
Cincinnati right now is 3-0 in the Big 12. So
we play them coming up, correct?
So Utah would be in the driver's seat, at least controlling their own destinies.
Yeah.
Things in that regard. Yeah, today, Trevor. Today, Trevor, really, and I said this on the show yesterday. It feels like a de facto play-in to get Texas Tech again. Right now, I don't want to discredit Cincinnati. I don't want to discredit Houston. You mentioned Arizona State. They still have one loss, as does Baylor. Those teams are all mathematically in the picture. But especially if you look at Utah's schedule, that's the other part. If you get past BYU tonight, Trevor, you get Colorado, you get Cincinnati, and then you're at Baylor, you got Kansas State, and then you finish the season at Kansas.
So I'm saying we're in the driver's seat. This is a huge game, huge implications, and BYU, obviously, same exact story, right? When you play a team that's undefeated, it's weird how things change. If we beat them, all of a sudden we'll be up on them in the rankings just that fast.
Yeah, it is a massive, massive game. And when we're talking Big 12 title implications, Trevor, well, that's a different conversation in 2025 because if you're talking about a Big 12 title game appearance, that's a play-in to get to the college football playoff.
That's it.
Different stakes in this rivalry than we've ever seen in the Holy War before. That's exciting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got to figure the better the conference is, the better chance we have of getting two teams in, which is the conversation going on all around the country. Right now everybody's saying there's no way in heck it's going to happen. So this really, to me, this is the make or break it game. This is it. There's too much craziness that goes on in this conference. We got to win this game, man. Got to win this game. And it starts with the running backs. It starts with the quarterback. It starts with us, being able to stop both those things. But I'm telling you, it's going to come down to which kids are motivated. I kind of said this earlier in the week. These coaches know each other, gosh dang it. It's who can get their kids most fired up to execute. That's exactly what this is going to be.
Kyle kind of alluded to this during his press conference. We asked him, schematically, where do you get an edge? Where do you gain that edge on a team? He said, listen, we know these guys. They know us. You gain an edge in your demeanor. You gain an edge in the way you approach the game, the physicality, the tenacity you approach the game, right? That's how you gain an edge. Trying to gain an edge on Aaron Roderick, who knows your playbook, trying to gain an edge if you're Aaron on Morgan Scalley, who has known you since you were a player, you were a grad assistant. You're probably not going to gain much of an edge there. It's about how you approach this game. It's about how you motivate your players with the stakes that are at hand. I think that is a huge part of this. And Trevor, the stakes for this one aren't just this year. We've talked about Utah's got a lot of pressure on them, I think, to win this game, knowing that BYU's won the last two, and the future of college football is so chaotic. I think it matters more than just your record in 2025. It matters your place in the state of college football.
Yeah, in-state recruiting alone, right? We already lost a guy who ain't even from here. He's from California. We lose him after 3 years to BYU, Tanobasa. And, the chips start falling. And when you lose the in-state battles, that's not good in this state. We conquered those for years. That's why we went 10-0. We were killing them when we were in the Big 12 and Pac-12 and all that. I see a path to money if we win this game. Okay, this will put us on another level. We talked about money earlier in the show. To me, I'm always going to bring that up because, I'm in the meetings where they say, well, I don't even care how he plays. Can we afford him?
Right.
What's the market? And we start talking about, what's going to be for Utah. We got to bridge the gap, right? And so for us, we're going to have to, like Missouri says, it's a show-me state. The more we win, the more attractive we become to people that want to be involved with our program. And I'm thinking long-term here.
Are you bringing up Missouri in a game against Brigham Young?
I'm just saying you got to have that.
Do you know the implications you just brought up?
We don't have the money right now to continually compete with this, right? Hey, this could be a year where we catch everybody on edge, right? We can kind of get in. We're not paying much, right? I told you about that report that came out. We got to validate these reports, but word on the street is we're last in Power 4 spending outside of the collective money that we get from the TV money.
Right.
That's not sustainable. Okay, that means we're Vanderbilt. Do you understand that from 5 years ago? We're Vandy or Duke.
And Vandy, now that you bring it up, those Vandy Law guys, they're ponying up some money, and look at the results that they're seeing.
And BYU, and obviously it's all around the country, and it's not a revelation. It's how baseball runs. That's why the Oakland A's are in Vegas now, or they're in Sacramento.
Look at what the Dodgers are doing.
Yeah. And so that's the way it goes. Is that the scouting's got so good, is eventually as Coach Wood always says, the cream always rises to the top. So again, with this game, there's a lot on the line here for the next maybe 4 or 5 years. There's a lot, not just this season, but there's a lot going. It's like, where are we headed as a program?
It definitely feels that way. I don't want to overstate that, right? Because at the end of the day, it is just one game, right? Utah lost to BYU in one of those Rose Bowl runs. Went on to win the Pac-12, went on to do all these things. That being said, I think that game and losing that game was a really important wake-up call for that team that went on to win the Pac-12 and win the Rose Bowl.
No doubt. But you don't want to lose the culture war, okay?
Right.
And you lose 3 straight. Now your culture's not up to snuff as far as in the recruit. Hey, man.
And then the pressure.
They can't even beat us, dude. What do you want to think about them for?
Well, and then feel the pressure, right? Imagine Trevor flipping teams a little bit. Switch sides. Put yourself in BYU shoes. It's 2017. You haven't beaten your rival in a decade.
Oh.
You're losing recruiting battles. You're independent. They're in the Pac-12. They're going to win the Pac-12 maybe. The pressure on BYU to win for Kalani and co., the pressure was getting to a point where people were talking about, can he beat Kyle?
No, you're right about
Is he
that.
the guy? Doesn't matter what he does outside of this. Can he beat our rival, and is he the guy? Those were conversations that were happening. Not anymore, because you've got 2 in a row. But if those types of streaks happen in a rivalry, the pressure that it puts on the other school is very real.
I always say this. When you lose the money battle in the year, the spending battle, you're losing exponentially. And when you think about that, what does that mean? Well, we lose 3 in a row, you lose in the in-state battle. Let's say you lose 2 or 3 kids. Then you start doing the math, all right? We're down this amount of money every year. They're spending more than us, and they're getting 2 or 3 more players than us per year. And you just start doing the math.
One
just
big recruit doesn't make up for that.
It's just like 3-pointers in the NBA. Everyone who complains about 3-pointers, they show them the math.
Yep.
And they say, what do you want us to do, dude? It says right here, this is what you got to do.
Yep.
And that's how it is in this deal. If you don't win consistently, it's hard to keep that edge that Coach Witz talks about. It's so precious in this it's an 8-point. You said under 8 points. It's been a 1 score in 18 battles. Is that what you said?
19 in the last 30 years.
So it's unprecedented, and we have to make sure we're on top of that edge. We got to be holding that knife and not have it to our throat.
And I think today, with how evenly matched these teams feel to me, I think it's going to be number 20 when it comes to one-score games decided.
See, and that's where I think
Utah,
we disagree.
BYU.
I think Utah is going to win by 2 scores.
There you go.
I know that's a hot take, but here's what I'm
Wait,
going to tell you why.
wait.
I'll tell you why
Wait.
when we get back after the break.
That's a tease, Trevor Reilly.
There
He's
we
learning
go.
radio. On the other side, we'll make our predictions for the game. We'll give you a few X factors to the football game as well. James Peterson back in the studio. We'll check in with him and then send it over to Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, Stevenson, Sylvester. They'll take over about 15 minutes from now. Kickoff about 2 hours from right now. Porter Larsen here, Trevor alongside me, live at Bout Time in Vineyard. It's 568 North Mill Road. We're going to be taking off here momentarily. That doesn't stop you from coming in. If you don't have a place to watch, this is a good spot for it. If you want a place to hang out after the game, before the game, this is a good place for it. It is Bout Time in Vineyard. And I'll tell you what, the jalapeno jack burger, pretty good. Back on the other side to wrap things up on a Utes game day. It's ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
This is Utah quarterback Devin Dampier, and you're listening to Utah football on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
Devin Dampier, QB1, bringing us back in for the final segment of the Utes Game Day pregame show. Of course, as we do each and every week in our final segment, we give you our keys to the game. We give you our predictions to the game, and we go from there. Of course, momentarily, Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, Stevenson Sylvester, they have the call of the game live from LaVell Edwards Stadium. It's number 15 BYU, welcoming number 23 Utah. The Cougars are 6-0. They're 3-0 in the Big 12, while Utah comes in 5-1 with their sole loss being the top 10 Texas Tech. And it's not just a rivalry game, not just bragging rights on the line tonight. No, Big 12 championship implications on the line. And when we're talking Big 12 championship in 2025, well, that means we're talking college football playoff. The winner of this game has an inside track to play Texas Tech in a potential Big 12 title game. Of course, Cincinnati and Houston, Arizona State and Baylor, they'll have some things to say about that as the season goes along. But the winner of this game definitely has an opportunity to play in the Big 12 championship. And for Utah, if they get past BYU, they've only got one ranked team remaining on the schedule, and that is number 24, Cincinnati. Outside of that, it's Colorado, Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas. So if you're Kyle Whittingham in Utah, you like your chances if you can get past BYU in Provo on this Saturday night in Utah. Trevor Reilly, Darrell Mack alongside myself here at Bout Time Pub in Vineyard. It's 568 North Mill Road. Good spot. How was your food, by the way?
I mean, the 2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a cheeseburger. It was smoked. The smoked wings are fantastic.
Fried pickles were good.
Oh yeah, they were good. They got great food here.
How's the French dip, Darrell?
Oh, I love the French dip. It was awesome. I had the fries on the side. I loved it. I never had a sandwich like that before.
Love it. About time in Vineyard. If you want a place to watch the game, stop by, say hello. Hey, maybe you need a place to stop after the game for some grub as well. It's 568 North Mill Road in Vineyard. So the line moved. While we were on air, guys, Utah now 5.5-point favorites versus the 3.5 points that we saw most of the week. Trevor, what, in your experience, your eyes, what do you think made that line move on a game day nonetheless?
Okay, so I've seen them play in live in person, BYU, and I've seen them on TV last week against Arizona. Those are 2 teams that are not that good, in my estimation. Okay, meaning that they're just overmatched almost every week.
We haven't seen BYU officially tested, really.
No, and another thing is that's an issue because Utah has some athletes. All right, we showed last week we can glove you up. We can play man coverage. We can double guys. We can run the ball right down your throat. It may not bode well for them, right? You got a freshman quarterback. Scalley's usually pretty good against those guys. I'm seeing a 2-score victory here for the Utes only because I think we're going to run the ball well against these guys. I really think we're going to run the ball well, and I don't see them throwing the ball on us. I think we're going to do a great job locking up receivers. And, there could be a play here or there, but again, physically, I think we're still superior in so many ways if you line us up for a spark. If you had a spark combine, Darrell,
right,
I think our team would beat their team.
Absolutely, for real, especially with our offense, that little downhill option spread thing, I like to call it.
Yep.
It's so much going on with that offense, and I just feel like we have a bit of an advantage. Once we get it going, all we need is a couple downhill runs. It's so easy to get it going, man.
That RPO adds such a – if you do it right? This is the problem with the RPO often is if you have a quarterback that doesn't understand the intricacies of that offense, it can actually be really easy to defend because you just make your read and force a guy one way, right? And then, you have a pitch maybe where you got to defend the throw, but a lot of times if you make that read, it's an easy defense to defend.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a quarterback that not only can escape one-on-one, but can also make those reads in tight spaces and in tight windows, it becomes so much more difficult to defend that because you got an extra guy. You got a running back basically who can throw the ball now and can threaten that edge defender.
Yeah, we'll
kind of put him on an island.
Right, test their athleticism on for BYU's defense. I mean, to me, I just see a bunch of big guys. I don't see no speed. Nobody able to hang with our quarterback on an open run. If our running backs, let alone just go protect our quarterback, pick up the blitzes, and let him run the ball, we could really do something with just a simple offense.
49.5 is the over-under, the total right now. That hasn't moved much this week, but as I mentioned, the line actually has 2 more points in Utah's favor. We'll go back to the Broadway Media Studios of ESPN 700, where James Peterson is hanging out for the evening. James, Vegas has given Utah 5.5 points now, and 49.5 on the over-under. How you feeling heading into kickoff?
Going under, depending on what that injury is, we'll see. That's causing the line to move. I'm still going under. I think I'm going to settle on 23-20 Utah. Super close, as it always is.
Darrell Mack, Utah 49.5 is the over-under. You got a final score prediction for us?
I mean, they just moved the number on the spread, man. They must be reading something. I feel like we can win by at least 10 points, man. I feel like we really can give them a run. Once we start separating ourselves, we're going to have to stick a fork in them, man.
Trevor Reilly, 49.5 is your over-under. You got 5.5 points. You taking that?
31-20. I'll take the over and 31-20.
I like it. I like it. That is Trevor Reilly. That is Darrell Mack. Your picks for the game on this Saturday afternoon, a rivalry edition of the Holy War and a rivalry edition of Utes Game Day. 5.5 points. We're going to find out probably in the next about 35 to 40 minutes when you get that final injury report. We're probably going to find out what that line change is all about, if there's an addition to the injury report. I don't know exactly what it could be, but 2 points usually signifies some material news, a material update for your team. So we'll see what that may be in that final injury update. I'm going to go under. I think we get a low-scoring game. I really genuinely believe that these are two of the best defenses in all of college football, and I believe they show that tonight. I'm going to go Utah 21, BYU 13 in the 103rd installment of this rivalry matchup. Bill Riley, Scott Mitchell, Stevenson Sylvester take over on the other side. For Darrell Mack on site, for Trevor Reilly here with me, for Zach Moss and Robert Johnson and OC joining us on the phone, and James Peterson, who's holding things down back in Salt Lake City. We appreciate you guys all for joining us. Big thanks to Bout Time for having us out here as well. This is a Utes Game Day on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.